Hey, guess what? It's your boys, Nick and Greg. We are here. It has been a while since it's been the two of us on here at the same time, Greg.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Well, I hope that everyone has just stayed after me attempting to sing there.
I feel like they've sat through worse with us.
But yeah, welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio podcast. Apart from us singing and talking about music and whatever else comes to our minds, this is a podcast where we will discuss anything and everything professional wrestling, and we will be going over the past week's worth of news. Chat, if you were just there for the Dynamite recap show and you were with me there, let me know.
I'll take a moment to try to combine both ideas there. You know, I was very surprised when I learned that The Miz was something of a metalhead.
Oh yeah, is that true?
Yeah, I think he was at one of those Rolling Loud events. Like they had a bunch of WWE guys there and they were asking what their favorite music was, and like The Miz is talking about like Avenged Sevenfold and shit like that. And I was just like, sir?
That don't sound like The Miz, I know.
You know, right? Like at least when Brock Lesnar starts talking about Metallica, I get it.
That makes sense. That feels right. Miz getting into like death metal, like I want Miz to be jamming out to like "Can't You Feel My Heart" or something like that. Get Chad Miz.
There's something about like going to the Miz's house and just seeing fucking Cannibal Corpse and going like, "What?
This is what you like?
You're into that thick-necked motherfucker."
Well, again, thank you for joining us on Dirt Sheet Radio, the musical podcast. Greg, Yes. Dude, I have been waiting in particular to be able to share this with you, Greg.
Go for it.
Everyone that has been a part of this show knows that Linkin Park is goated and that we love Linkin Park, and we will take any opportunity that we can to talk about Linkin Park.
So what's this opportunity?
So listen, right here, man, I have been listening to some incredible like AI covers. Some of my favorites is like
those things scare the shit out of me.
Dude, like, some of them are good. Like there was one I listened to where it's like not like us, but it's done, you know, like it's like 40s and 50s style.
Oh my god.
I listened to an amazing track where it took Chester and Mike Shinoda and it put them into crap, I'm blanking on the song right now. Somebody that I used to know.
Oh my.
For anyone listening, take the opportunity to listen to the AI cover, Linkin Park's AI cover of somebody that I used to know. It is
Goit? How did you say that name?
Gautier?
Is that how it is? Gautier?
Is that it? That's what I think. I don't know. Everyone says it different. I've heard like Godai, Gatti, something.
Oh, cheer.
I don't know. But again, this is a lovely pro wrestling podcast where we will talk about more than just music. But again, check that cover out if you haven't already. Now
we can talk about how much we hate today's wrestling music.
Oh my gosh, dude. Listen, I had the worst time, and we've been mentioning this for months. I've had the worst time watching wrestling with my friends, especially when it's like the Royal Rumble, because we didn't know who anyone was. The Pavlovian response is gone for like 90% of the roster.
You know what it is? I joke that they must know to some degree that the music hasn't stuck because they have forced the Pavlovian response by putting either a particular sound or, the worst part, their name at the beginning of the song.
I hate that. That it shouldn't be that way. Like it should just be like coming off like naturally. Speaking of music, another interesting bit of trivia I just learned fairly recently for Stone Cold Steve Austin's iconic Glass Shatter theme song. It was originally just literally Jim Johnson breaking some glass for it, but it didn't have a punchy enough sound, so they added a literal gunshot to it.
Oh my god.
They revitalized the gunshot, added that in there, and that's what gives us that crunchy sound that we love today. So that's your little bit of trivia for the day.
Nice. I will say that the whole thing about adding the names to the song, not only is it cheap, but it it now resulted into what is sort of this weird, how do you say, double dip into a good thing, because they did it with the Chelsea Green song. So now you hear Samantha Irvin's Chelsea Green at the beginning of the track, and then she says it, which kind of diminishes the effect.
Yeah, we're getting some diminished returns there, and that was always the biggest thing, is how amazing Samantha Irving's voice is. I cannot get enough of her, and I hope that she does continue to stay around. And hey, what is up, Kashawn White? Kashawn says, what do y'all think about Stephanie Vacour, Julia, and possibly the Motor City Machine Guns joining WWE?
Thank you, Kashawn White, for steering the show to the direction we should have been taking it in. Let's get into it.
This is why we love you guys. Thank you, chat, for joining us. Kashawn, my man, thank you.
The chat's trying to keep us in line, damn it.
He said, we've heard enough Linkin Park. You haven't. You never will.
Let's talk about it. I think it's... I want to know some other details about the Stephanie Vacour situation. Is that how you say it, Vacour?
Vacour, yeah.
Vacour? I was like, look over Vacour. I want to know more about the Stephanie Vacour situation, and the reason for that is specifically because typically it would be frowned upon, even if you did sign a new deal, to not complete your dates.
Right.
So I'm curious what the situation is that she would just not show up for the Fantastica Mania show, or opt out, or however you want to call it, and be in a position where they have to strip her of her championships, kayfabe obviously, but they have to strip someone of their championships and just write them off the show, and put out this whole press release that so and so won't be appearing as advertised.
Yeah.
It also makes you wonder, just like, what kind of deal was she on? If you put a belt on a woman that could have walked out at any time, I tend to question the business IQ of a lot of those lucha companies often. But like what are we doing here? So like, if WWE, who is typically very big on you finishing out your commitments, it's just openly taking in someone who canceled off these shows. I wonder what the situation there is. The only thing we have to go on anything is that Stephanie Vacour has some dubious connections to, in her case as a victim, some dubious connections to some other shady shit going on down in Mexico at the moment.
Right, especially with certain individuals connected with AEW, such as a Rush and a Dralistico.
Yes, but also apparently maybe also Dragon Lee. Ooh.
Which that's where it starts getting muddy, because Dragon Lee is in NXT WWE.
Yeah.
So that's a whole bag of worms itself, and it's like, which side has the lesser two evils, perhaps?
Right.
One of the things that I was considering with the Stephanie Vacour situation is what timing they had, like immediately after Forbidden Door, to grab her up and sign her. I mean, kudos to Shawn Michaels and Triple H for being able to get that going. But Greg, like we were talking about, there was a whole big thing, especially, I don't know if this has changed from one regime to the Leveckian era, but the last regime, it was expected that you finish up all your old commitments before coming here, because it shows that you keep your word, you keep your commitments.
Yeah, I was like, I watched CM Punk like sign his deal on the Ring of Honor belt and then do like 3 more months with them.
Exactly.
Because he was booked out solid, and even now we are in a situation where they signed Julia. They presented Julia on TV, and even Julia is in a position to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go settle some business. I'll be there in a bit.
Right.
I'll get there when I get there. Don't wait up. But thanks for having me."
And like Kashawn said, like, this stuff is what really gets super complicated. And when I'm thinking about like the whole thing with like Julia and Stephanie Vacour, like it feels like it's just such a muddied water. And again, like talking of old regimes, like Triple H and Shawn Michaels were such major parts of that. I feel like the just immediate, like, this has to happen now, let's do this, that feels much more like a Nick Khan thing than those two.
Sure.
At least from my perspective on there. And
I think that's interesting too, because I feel like ever since this regime change has gone on, Nick Khan has been able to grog, seriously. Nick Khan has been able to Nick Khan has been able to comfortably sit in the background as a personality.
Right.
Everything we've seen just feels like here's Hunter doing his thing, and here's Sean doing his. Every time a black guy gets pushed in NXT, or they hire some voluptuously bottomed black woman, it's a Shawn Michaels thing.
Praise to HBK.
HBK. It's very curious what influence Nick Khan is having on these decisions, because his personality isn't in the game.
Right. And he's been such a major aspect of just the WWE's overall business representation, and especially with that philosophy where WWE's always had that spring cleaning that's gone on every April and May, but it became much more frequent and common since Nick Khan has come into control, I feel, and it brings into that and I know this is something that they've purposely tried to do, especially with NXT and the Performance Center, is consistently churning out the different wrestlers. Hey, if you don't make the cut, then we're gonna let you go and pop someone else in that spot, and you can come back later.
Sure.
But it definitely feels like there's much more of a revolving door than past years.
Yeah, and there seems to always be in WWE some degree of you can come back later.
Exactly.
You've got to really fuck up to not have some chance.
Exactly. You have done something terrible.
What
failed football star will Stephanie McCourt start dating in the Performance Center right away? Oh, Mac.
This is
that's the Mac content we subscribe for.
This reminds me of the old timey wrestling joke about the stars dating the jobbers, which is what I said when I found out Mandy Rose was with Tino Sabbatelli.
Oh man. Listen, there's
nobody was picking up the hot woman in the industry.
Yeah, right. I feel like that's so common too. There's always that kind of juxtaposition where you're dating the person. Look at with Mercedes and Mikaze. He's
yeah.
He
one of
got
the
so
biggest
hurt as a
wrestling is dating the fucking designer.
The designer, who, remember too, he started off as a NXT jobber, and he got too hurt, and they had to pull him from that.
Yeah,
Guys, don't release me. I can do this too.
And Hunter's just I like your hustle, kid. Good work.
All right, you're here for now.
You get to have a job.
But there's the other aspect that Kashan asked about with MCMG, baby, Motor City Machine Guns.
Yes.
Is it, Greg, I want to ask you, in your opinion, is it too late for the Machine Guns, or is this something that we've been wanting to see for a long time?
Is it too late for the Machine Guns? Absolutely not. I think, I'll say this. I think with how unseriously the WWE has typically taken tag teams, that there's always room to slot somebody into that position.
Right.
Because you're not looking at the Motor City Machine Guns they're kind of old. I don't know if they could be my next main event guy. That's not what it is. It's another piece of the show. You can get anybody to be another piece of the show. You know what I mean? So I think the Motor City Machine Guns might be a great piece of the show as not only a very good tag team, but also a veteran tag team, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, I see it just going beyond what the Dudley Boys came in as. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dudley's had huge hype in what was it, 2015 or 16 when they came back?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was amazing. I literally remember
Yeah.
in this very chair jumping up, looking at the TV I have right over there, and just being like, "The Dudleys are back!"
Yes. The big difference is that the Dudleys had already done it.
Exactly. And like
You
the
know.
Dudleys were winding down, whereas MCMG, they still have a ways to go. And I really like, Mac over here saying them as coaches and players, best for business. Them versus DIY. Keyshawn saying the same thing.
So I have already booked in my head the what I think is not only eventual, but the inevitable fucking Border City stretch face-off between Johnny Gargano and Alex Shelley.
Oh yeah,
you know that because they have the same move,
right?
They have the same submission. So that's what it's going to be. They're both going to lock on the Border City stretch onto Ciampa and onto fucking Chris Sabin, and they're just going to scream at each other. Ah!
It sure is getting very FTR'd in here, isn't it?
Little bit, yeah. The down. Okay, Mac, that's interesting. Shelley is better than Johnny Gargano. Yes, I do not disagree.
That's good shit. Let me tell you, as someone who really enjoyed those like early mid 2000s TNA when Motor City Machine Guns first really like broke onto like the major like American circuit, I absolutely love them. And for the longest time in that era, remember too, because this is towards the tail end of when WWE had that initial cruiserweight division.
Yeah. And Sabin had already been established in TNA as a long-time singles guy.
Exactly. So now, like, these guys, coming together, uniting in the X division of TNA, I always really enjoyed the work they did together. There was something about the two of them together that had such a tag team presence that I myself, I'm going to go so far as to say I haven't felt that since, like, the Steiner Brothers and Harlem Heat. Like, they had a great presence together. They're like, I'll look at it as like the Rock and Roll Express type of philosophy where it's like, one-on-one, they can win, they can lose, but together they are goated,
Right.
I mean, as time went on, then they became, actual like amazing single stars as well. But in this part of the time of like 2007 to 2010 TNA, like I was always thinking, as so many people at the time were, of like, what happens if these TNA guys were ever on like WWE television? Like what happens if Motor City Machine Guns of the time was in WWE? And like trying to come up with like my own dream matches, which was kind of rough because you got to consider that WWE's never really loved their tag division in that era.
No, they never have.
But like at the time, like Motor City Machine Guns versus London and Kendrick, though, like that would have been so cool. So those were my little dream matches I used to come up with.
I will say, Motor City Machine Guns most indefinable wrestling gear I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, what style is that?
I don't know. Who designs that? What brain is coming up with that shit?
You get kanji, you get like skull and crossbones, you get so much.
And some of it's just the most over-designed, just non-stop pattern. Like what is happening? Motor City, that trio of the Motor City Machine Guns, America's Most Wanted, and Triple X actually rejuvenated my appreciation for tag team wrestling at a time when I thought it was dead.
Dude, there's so much of my love for TNA. It literally goes back to the tag teams, the trios, the stables that they had for years because they were doing something that WWE really wasn't at the time. Like Motor City Machine Guns. I'm thinking like LAX
like they cared about their tag team wrestling.
Exactly, dude.
JD
and Sanjay Dutt together was magic.
Yeah, they fucking Homicide and Hernandez together somehow was really good.
That was fantastic. They complemented each other so well. You had the speed and the power.
Like, and then you turned Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles into like this X Division super team, and it worked out.
Not enough people talk about how great that feud with LAX and Styles and Daniels.
Right, that shit was violent. They want a hanger, dude.
No, exactly. I'm so happy. That's like one of them. They had like a great match together, and that's one of the ones on the TNA like best hits DVD that came with the video game. The Toys R Us
really
exclusive.
Nice.
I got
That's
that.
Nice.
It's weird to say I have a Toys R Us exclusive.
I will say, biggest thing I can say about that tag team era for them, the most afraid I think I have ever been watching a live wrestling broadcast is seeing Chris AMW Chris Harris, seeing Chris Harris sitting on that side of the cage and seeing Elix Skip on the other side just going, no, Elix, don't you fucking dare. And he does the cage walk, and I was like, I have never been more afraid in my life watching him walk to the other side of that goddamn structure.
And it's like Elix Skipper would just do that like he does it every single day.
Yeah.
He was so crisp and smooth. Oh my gosh, dude, that X division of TNA was so good.
The tag division was so good, and like even, say what you want about some of the angles that were going on, but like you can kind of forgive whatever Jeff Jarrett was doing on the program.
Dude, I said this literally earlier on the Dynamite recap show, which, hey, if you watch AEW Dynamite, make sure you go check that out every Wednesday right after Dynamite. I haven't appreciated Jeff Jarrett like I do currently in AEW, but the second closest appreciation of Jeff Jarrett I have is those TNA moments and those TNA runs, just because of the fact sometimes it felt so forced and so bad it was good.
Right. I am a massive apologist for Jarrett's run in TNA, mostly because in the beginning years, people say he hoarded the belt and had it too much, and I get that. I'd also say, when you are just starting a company, especially on that level, who do you trust as your world champion to depend on and be there through the beginning when you know at any day you can lose one of these guys to the McMahon money machine?
Exactly.
You kind of keep it on yourself, and occasionally you get guys who are like, oh, I have confidence that the AJ Styles is going to stay. We can push him.
Right.
But like it takes a while to find those guys.
Especially too, a lot of people starting out, you didn't know who like the AJ Styles was. You might remember him a little bit from like WCW's cruiserweight division, but aside from that, he came in as like a virtual unknown. And then you gotta factor in too, a lot of people thinking about like Sting wasn't a consistent part of the TNA roster until what, like 05, 06?
Yeah.
So you had like certain people, and then like once like Kurt Angle came in there, we had the legend that is Perk Angle.
Oh, Jesus!
Cleaning up a good point. Christian Cage also coming in and saving that TNA belt.
Yeah, that was a big deal at the time, and a huge deal for Christian, right? Showing he could do it on top.
Exactly. I, as a huge Christian fan myself, I loved every second of it, and
yeah. Plus, we got the My Last Breath cover.
You know that makes me happy, Gray. As a huge Evanescence fan, that is one of my favorite songs. I am so sad that wasn't there like a legal issue with that too?
Was there?
I have a vague memory of there being some sort of legal drama, which made a lot of edgy teenagers, myself included, upset because a lot of us were thinking like, "Oh no, this ruins the chances for Amy Lee to get involved in wrestling again."
Oh no, again.
The reason I say again is because I look at No Way Out 2003.
Oh, the use of that. Okay, yeah.
They used the song before it was officially released.
Did they? It was not out yet? Oh.
Bring Me to Life did not come out for like another like week or so, I think.
That's very interesting.
One of the earliest times people heard it was the No Way Out 2003. Trivia. Yeah, I love throwing out those bits of trivia that are only interesting to me.
Fair enough. That works. That's interesting. I want to get to the comments here. One, yes, Mac, I agree. I think Alex Shelley becoming the TNA World Champion was a very cathartic, even as someone who didn't watch, just as a fan of Alex Shelley, very cathartic moment, I thought, especially having Chris Sabin right there as the X Division champion. Like, look at these two dudes succeeding in all facets of fucking TNA, right?
Which is crazy.
It was beautiful. Chris Sabin was also technically was, you know, a former TNA World Champion or Impact World Champion. So like, they've kind of they've done it all in that company, haven't they?
Literal goats of TNA.
Yeah. So talking about the past coming into the future and the possibility of the Motor City Machine Guns coming to TNA, but coming to WWE, but not as part of this wackadoo NXT TNA crossover we have these days that no one in their wildest dreams could have imagined years ago. How are we feeling about this? I, for one, am a filthy, dirty curmudgeon who has no interest in Joe Hendry. But other than that, I was shocked to see Zachy Boy got let back into the building with the Rascals.
Yeah, no, that was... They did that, didn't they?
I was like, oh, they let him in. I thought that was done.
He's allowed.
When we talked earlier about guys who don't get to come back, I thought he was one of them.
That was, again, I remember too, that was one of the big fears with Triple H coming in there was, for good or bad, better or worse, Vince McMahon was always willing to let bygones be bygones if it meant business, and it looks like Triple H and Shawn Michaels will be willing to do the same thing.
Yeah. Which is funny, because on some level, even though I don't know the man personally, I don't know, Hunter feels like the guy that might hold a grudge. I don't know.
Right, he does. I don't know if we should back in. I
don't like him.
This stuff. Well, I guess that means no more Izzy being present on things.
Yes, that. But Jordan Grace was obviously very surprising. It was surprising since Royal Rumble. It's been surprising, but yeah. You know, I guess in a good way. I'm trying to say, and I think that's very cool. I wish I could say that it will help TNA, but until TNA finds themselves in a position of just outright higher visibility, nothing will really help them.
Right. I'm thinking about, like, even going back to the point where when Jordan Grace showed up, that was big. But think about too, the almost way to kind of bridge the gap was when they had Mickie James coming in as
that's right,
Women's Champion, especially because that was coming off of her talking about Mr. Canyon sending her stuff in a garbage bag following her release.
That's right.
So,
and you know what it is?
Hard feelings there too.
You know what it is too? Like, it's easy for me to forget Mickie James because even though she came in with the belt, it's Mickie James, so it still feels familiar.
Exactly.
You know, it didn't feel like they didn't reach very far to do. They didn't have to reach very far to do that.
Exactly.
You know, Jordan Grace was them taking like sort of a risk of like, who the fuck are you?
No, exactly, because that's 100% what it was, and I think it was great. Things worked out long term by Mickie James being that first kind of Impact surprise, and then obviously Jordan Grace, and then everyone else. And I am really happy because as I work in, for those of you who don't know, I work within social media, so I'm a big numbers guy. I'm a big person who likes to look at different things, see how things trend, everything like that. And Joe Hendry, this is a whole instance where this guy has taken the world by storm, not just the wrestling world, the whole social media landscape by storm, just because he's so viral.
God, I saw him just before we logged on because somebody put his stinking face clip right above the score of the Yankees winning today, and I was just like, God damn it!
Greg cannot escape Joe Hendry.
I keep ignoring everything he's on, and he keeps finding new places to pop up.
Say his name and he appears.
Go fuck yourself.
Dude, I I've posted like a couple reels and video clips of them. They do some of like the best numbers of anything I've ever posted. It is fantastic. And dude, I'm sometimes like scrolling through TikTok, and I don't really look at a bunch of wrestling things on TikTok.
Right.
I go watch one dude, and I keep forgetting his name every time we do this show, and I want to give him a shout out. Chad, if you know who I'm talking about, post his name on there. I think it's like Wrestling Colin or something like that. He goes over a lot of stuff, like the history of like Japan, and honestly, I think about how Joe Hendry kept popping up, and that was one of the ways I first kind of found out about the memes when I was scrolling through TikTok, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, this guy looks familiar. Like, wait, that's Joe Hendry?
Yeah.
So Joe Hendry is average at best, but they are capitalizing on him being hot. He'll die out. Yeah, that's the one thing where when you you embrace the meme, but look at, like the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, like that has definitely outstayed its welcome, so to speak, because that just feels so.
Are you tired of that by now?
I personally am. I feel like a lot of the crowd is, because like with that.
Are you tired of the scissoring or of Billy Gunn's participation?
Billy Gunn's participation will always be welcome. The dude is above aging.
Seriously.
Man's a tank still. And the fact of the matter, though, is like, remember early on, everyone was doing the scissor thing. That was super viral. That was everywhere beyond just the wrestling scope. And now you literally only see it when they do it in the ring and when Bowens goes up to whatever fan is there on the corner, Yeah. Ooh, there's a point to talk about too. Max Caster being a tool.
So before we get into that, because I think that's a long one.
That
is. Yes. Two things. One, both about Billy Gunn. One of my favorite things I ever heard about Billy Gunn was somebody just going like, "See, those are steroids done correctly." He didn't never hurt himself. He still looks great. Everything's proportionate. He works hard, obviously.
We here at Dirty Radio do not condone the use of steroids.
That said, fairly and in personal use, do what you want, right? I'm a big person of just like, look, if you're a movie star and you do steroids, whatever, it's movies. If you're like a professional athlete who punches people in the face for a living, then it's kind of fucked up. Two, my favorite anecdote from somebody about Billy Gunn, or just story. I think it was Michael Elgin talking about going out with Billy Gunn and like saying like Billy Gunn could eat 3 hamburgers in a day and not affect his body at all. Like he doesn't even have to eat that well. That's how freakish of an athlete Billy Gunn is.
Billy Gunn is an absolute freak of nature.
Yeah.
And like look at the era he wrestled through. How many of those guys' bodies are breaking down?
Yeah. And like not only is he still going, but he's genuinely found success in every decade, hasn't he?
Pretty much, somewhere, some point or another. Because every decade he's wrestled in.
In the 90s, you got the Smoking Guns and like the beginning of the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, you had most of the New Age Outlaws and whatever stuff he was doing. But then you got Billy and Chuck.
Which itself...
And Billy and Chuck was tremendously successful, even more than it should have been.
Oh, exactly. And even then, you consider when that ended, he was still such a major part of SmackDown. And what fan didn't love the pew pew theme song?
Yeah.
Pew pew.
No, we also have to talk about the one era.
Which era?
The one Billy Gunn.
Oh yes, the one Billy Gunn.
Look at all. See, Mac knows what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Billy Gunn always finds a way to like stay relevant, but also be completely on the sidelines.
Yeah, oh, man.
TNA run wasn't terrible either. Going back to TNA.
No, not terrible at all. Like the stuff with Road Dogg is terrible because that's like their attempt to just rehash old shit. But like,
you don't like the Voodoo Kin Mafia, Greg?
No, nobody likes the Voodoo Kin Mafia. God damn it.
The one Billy Gunn, that was a time.
And once again, let's see before we go into Max Caster. I meant to ask you because maybe I don't know, and this is coming down the pike. Do you think there is a sort of joint NXT TNA like PLE down the pike here?
Okay, so I want to say something that a lot of people might yell at me for, but hear me out. You know, they've been reusing a lot of those old wrestling pay-per-view names that they have in their archives.
I think I see where this is going.
Dare I say, this is where we can finally bring back Invasion.
Invasion 2!
Yes, about time.
Oh, man. Only if we get the separate entrances.
They have to. There's no other way. And you have to have that giant V that they use for Vengeance.
I was gonna say, but also they need to also bring back the pit.
What were those things that were like? For whatever reason, they were prevalent on all those 2001 entrance stages, pretty much, where it was like those weird like tubes that were along the entranceway. They bring those back.
Oh, she's not Great Balls of Fire. Stop it,
Mac. Don't do that.
No, I just if we do the Invasion 2 thing, I want the pit that Jeff Hardy fell in.
I support that.
Somebody has to fall into the pit. All right. So I delayed this enough times. Let's talk about Max goddamn Caster.
Oh man, there's a lot to go over with the Max Caster thing. I almost ponder if this is the time where we should pop open the DSR, or we should just go. We talked about it. Let's just go into it right now.
Do you remember the comments that opened this up?
It was an interview with Max Caster, or maybe it was someone that messaged him on Twitter, and he was talking about how he got hacked, but he agreed with the hacker's statement that
I got hacked. The hackers were right, but it wasn't me.
But it was something along the lines of that he doesn't want someone like a Shelton Benjamin, because Shelton Benjamin at this point was just released within like a month or two prior to this comment.
Yes.
Where Shelton Benjamin is a free agent now, and Max Caster saying, we don't need Shelton Benjamin there. I don't want another person there that can take my spot. What's he going to do? Take up my TV time? Max Caster says.
Yes.
To which Shelton Benjamin just did a recent interview with Chris Van Vliet. I want to say yesterday even. But I think he's asked this a little bit
before you get into that, I do want to also speak on what Max Caster says was the sort of the impetus for that attitude. And he says he spoke to, I believe he says he spoke to QT Marshall. And QT Marshall, I think this was the time where they were sort of pushing to get, to bring in Max Caster and Anthony Bowens in, right?
Yeah.
And in that discussion of seeing about what they could do and how they could get together to do business, QT Marshall basically drops the bomb on Max Caster, where he's just like, look, to be honest, I don't want you here. He's like, well, what do you mean by that? And that's what he said to him, like, you're just another guy that could be taking TV time away from me. And Max Caster felt like the honesty in that statement was very inspiring to him. And it's sort of an attitude he took on.
It opened the doors.
Yes.
Yeah, and remember too, there was the recent Cody Rhodes interview where, alluding to certain individuals, possibly those
who are never named, because Cody Rhodes is such a diplomat.
Politician Cody, talks about there should always be that concern when there's an established veteran who wants to go into a place saying he's going to bring credibility to it, and that he wants to help, prioritize working with the younger talent.
So I never trust the guy who says, I never trust the guy who walks in and says, I'm here to do it for the young guys.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I want to look at, though. Going into it, I'm very biased. I will admit to everyone listening to this. I am a huge Shelton Benjamin fan. I have been for years. Growing up, I had, oh gosh, I think the wrestler I had the most action figures of was Shelton Benjamin, with Randy Orton being a very close second.
Really?
They just released so many different variants of.
You had like the red and silver joints.
Oh yeah, and I like every like different like variation that I could find and grab. There is the important consideration that, you know, like we talked with Billy Gunn, age is just a number. So I don't ever like when someone's like, you know, I'm this old, so I don't really want to, you know, come in and like take over and be on these big things. Shelton Benjamin himself did mention he doesn't want a long-term contract if he ever did sign up with them. Dude, on the interview though, Shelton Benjamin had the best roasting line I've ever heard that man say. And he's not known for his promos, but in this instance in particular, Shelton Benjamin, when talking with Chris Van Vliet about the Max Caster comments, he said, if I can come in and just easily take your spot, it wasn't your spot to begin with.
Yes, that was the line that stuck out to me the most. Like, it's fucking right, dude.
He's not wrong.
Like, if I could take your spot, then like, I don't think it was. that sounds like a security problem. That sounds like a you problem.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I thought that was very interesting because I always thought the Max Caster comments were interesting. I understand where that sort of comment is coming from, but I think it's something you keep to yourself.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of what Max Caster does. He's almost like a shit poster at times.
Sure.
And like Max said too, you know, he the same thing with like Mason Mansour. And they have the amazing clapback. And look at now, I believe
I did not know about that.
I believe the news broke too that Mason Mansour have signed with AEW and they're going to be doing more work with Ring of Honor, but
yes,
they're there. So if Max doesn't want to lose that TV time,
well, don't go to Ring of Honor then.
That nobody wants to.
Gold Standard Shelton was great.
Oh yeah, I think Shelton Benjamin's one of those guys too, where who didn't root for him. Just in general, like not even just to become a world champion, like Shelton Benjamin world champion would have been so great. But I just think overall, how could you not want Shelton Benjamin to succeed? Like, remember when everyone was just standing up? They couldn't believe Shelton Benjamin almost cleanly pinned Triple H.
Yes. I was a big fan of that like weird T-bone power slam.
Yeah. Like variant T-bone suplex.
Yeah. Those were good times for me. I was so hype on Shelton Benjamin when they went for that singles run. Ain't no stopping me. Yeah.
No. Mac. Shelton Benjamin was my initial like Mr. Money in the Bank when it came down to just the moments. Like,
yeah,
I think Kofi eventually kind of took that spot once Shelton got released in 2010. But from 2005 to 2010, when he was on those Money in the Bank shows, like he always would steal the show. I loved it. He should have won it. And you know what a big travesty is? The fact that he wasn't in the 2007 Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 23 because he would have done such an amazing job in there. And instead, they put him in there as one of the lumberjacks in the dark match. If he did get a match, he's a lumberjack for the team of Ric Flair and Carlito. Jeez. And you know who they took on? They took on Gregory Helms and Chavo Guerrero. While they have... This could have so easily... Okay, this is my big rant. WrestleMania 23, at this time, they had 40 wrestlers that didn't do a single thing. 36 of them are still not doing a single thing because they're a ladder match, and they get into not a ladder match, a lumberjack match, and they get into like a single 5-minute brawl. And you want to tell me that they couldn't have just popped them all in the ring at once, did a battle royal, throw a million people out right away so they don't crush the ring? No. The dark match for WrestleMania 23 should have always been a battle royal. Look at the size of the venue. That is perfect for a battle royal. That is my big thing. I didn't expect to go off on the WrestleMania 23 dark match tonight.
Mac, you can't take Punk going back to back from me. Stop it.
It worked for what it was, in my opinion.
Also,
it was the two sides of Punk, the duality of Punk.
Yes, but also because for me, like, Punk says it himself on the DVD, but for me, I was feeling it as it happened. It's just like every time Punk got a little higher, you're just like, oh, okay, this is it for him. Okay, yep, this is it. Like, oh, he got the ECW belt. Okay, this is probably it for CM Punk. Yeah, the indie guy, whatever. Oh man, he's the Intercontinental champion. Okay, this is probably it. Then he got the World Heavyweight Championship, and I was just like, what's happening here?
They're giving him a little bit more. They're giving him a little bit more. What's happening?
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you, just being like everyone loves CM Punk out this way. In fact, like right in his hometown, there's a sign that literally says the home of CM Punk.
Oh, is that a thing they do out there?
Yeah, like literally, if there's a sign, I think where is it? I think he's from Lockport, Illinois, and there's a sign right out there that says this is the home of CM Punk. And
then it points at his house. No.
Oh no, they dox him every day. He's a big deal over here. I think it's one of those things where a lot of people look at wrestlers and it's like, oh, that person's from around here. Like CM Punk is such a big deal, and like I say, more people make a big deal about CM Punk being in the Chicagoland area than anyone talks about Randy Savage and Lanny Poffo being right in Downers Grove, Illinois.
Really? Well, Savage was always built at Sarasota, Florida anyway, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh, exactly. There's a lot of wrestlers that have a lot of ties to the Illinois area, but again, like the biggest one that I think of, and I think a lot of people out this way do, is CM Punk. And he's transcended. Like he's always referenced. They always talk about him at every sports game around here, be it professional or be it like the farm system. There's always a lot.
Max.
Oh man. I was upstairs in my attic watching the Raw where he cashed in on Edge. I screamed and my foot went through the ceiling.
Incredible.
Mac, how I wished you were on here to tell that story.
Blame Batista.
That's what people should just do, period, as always, be blaming Batista.
Was that the one? Was that it? Was it Batista beats up Edge and then Punk just walks in and takes it?
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
But I have so many. Oh, wax free.
Oh.
I like that it's just that easy to become a part of it. I
love it.
I have to stop my one thing, and I'm saying this very vaguely because it's going to become apparent to all of you listening in a moment. But we're going to be popping over to the lovely Dirt Sheet Radio page soon, and we will be going over pretty much a lot of either what we've discussed and just looking at the last week or so.
Yes. We have become much lazier in this podcast, and instead of writing things out, we are simply just scouring the page.
Remember that era when we used to wait for John to come up with the outline? Like, oh no, it's 1 a.m.
Oh man.
Oh, let's get in here, Mac. I want to hear that story live.
And in living color.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, boys.
Mac content. Let's go.
What's up?
Oh man, nothing much. Just doing a little show. How are you?
Good. I just finished work up, and I'm free for the next 2.5 hours.
No, don't say that, please. Not 2.5 more hours.
Yeah. So the Punk story. So I was living with my mom at the time, and she was renovating my room downstairs, but my brothers had just moved out, and my brothers were living upstairs, so I was taking their room, and there was a spot on the floor where you weren't supposed to stand, where there was all what do you call that stuff, like the insulation. And I was watching Raw, and I just saw Batista beat the shit out of Edge, and I was like, oh, okay. So I turned around to do something, I think like make the bet or something, and I heard Punk's music, and I was like, oh, okay, Punk's coming out for his match. And then I saw that he had the referee, and I was like, oh my God. And I turned around, and I saw, and I just caught the yes on Edge, and I stepped the wrong way and went, yeah, my foot went right through the ceiling, and my mother goes, Malcolm, what the fuck? So Punk winning his, not counting the Ring of Honor world title, first major world title.
Yes.
Yeah, I cost my mother like $700 worth of damage, which
God!
Oh man!
I had to work off. So thanks, Phil. I'll be sending you a bill from almost
Bill for Phil.
17 years ago. Thanks, Phil.
Good old one Bill Phil, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man, I am so happy that we got to hear that story on here.
That's great. That's great.
Oh
my God, Macklin, do you have a take on the Stephanie McCoy situation?
You know
That's
what?
the big story of the day, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy that she's getting the bag. I'm not really thrilled about where she's going, because I think she's miles above like people like Carmen Petrovic and Ariana Grace, and
sure,
she can put on bangers with
Jada Parker.
Yeah, she can put on bangers with people like Mitchin, who's very capable in the ring. Sol Ruka, Kalani Jordan.
She will get another chance at Julia.
Yeah, and and the inevitable, Roxanne, Cora Jade. If Nikita Lyons ever comes back, she's very serviceable in the ring. But
yes,
but I think she's better suited for people like Willow Nightingale and people like Serena Deeb. People who aren't just confined to the PC, the people who have been around the world and have done the Joshi style and have gone to Stardom and have gone to Mexico and stuff like that. Like, I just feel like she's going to be going through the motions, and she could be doing so much more in AEW. And, when I woke up this morning and I saw the post on our page that said that she had offers from AEW, the first person who popped into my head, honestly, was Athena. I think her and Athena can have a banger of a match.
Their entrances would be insane too.
Oh, dude!
Yeah.
Athena coming out as the fallen angel. Well, not the fallen angel, but you know what I mean.
The Christopher Daniels cosplay.
She just comes out with a bald head. It comes out to Disposable Teens by fucking.
Good times.
Take on it. I think that she's. I just think that she would be better suited working with people who have more experience around the world.
And any curiosity as to the speed of how it all happened?
Yeah. There's always going to be contract tampering in sports.
Sure.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, she was just on AEW and they were singing her praises, and she has 2 titles, and all of a sudden she kills Tessa Blanchard last night on the way out, and now she's WWE bound, So, the speed, sorry, Greg, but the speed of it is reeks of content. What is CMML going to do about it? Go up against the WWE machine? WWE and just like flick them off the earth, So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
What stood out the most to me, I think, was the idea that oftentimes these signings usually get a bit more of a glossy official statement. It was like the press release came out by New Japan and CMLL, and only a little bit later it was just like Shawn Michaels going, "Hey, yeah, welcome."
The most underhyped jump shit ever.
Yeah,
as if she had just come over to hang out.
The funny thing is, though, is like back in the day, it was easier. Like I remember, because I'm 42. Like I remember when guys like Rick Rude jumped to WCW and nobody knew it was going to happen, and Psycho Sid came back and stuff like that. But now you have so many. Like, of course, you have Fightful and you have PW Insider and you have all of these guys like Body Slam that are like reputable. But you also have these like subsidiaries. You also have these like children and subsidiaries of those major wrestling publications, and some of them have connections in other companies and know things and put things out, and that things that even SRS, who's usually on the ball, doesn't know, or Mike Johnson doesn't know, or Dave Meltzer doesn't know into it. They're like, holy
yeah,
they're right to be the first person. And so these major companies like WWE and AEW don't have the opportunity to even start writing an official statement before the news is already out there. So, and that was
everyone else has jumped on the cycle before them.
Yeah, and it was really evident by the fact that like there was no official like Twitter post saying like, well, MML Women's Champion Stephanie Bencourt or anything like that. Shawn Michaels was just like, hey, welcome to the family. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
What's happening?
It just seemed very, not unprofessional. It just seemed like very sloppy for like the biggest wrestler.
Unceremonious.
It was so underwhelming because especially too, like on one side, it's just like, she's gone. The other side, it's just like, you're here.
Yep. Yeah. Like they made a big grandy. Like we all knew that Julia was coming. Like they said, AEW has like no interest, which is fucking bonkers. But regardless of their reasoning, they still were. People were still like, "Well, is she coming or is she not coming?" And then when she showed up in the crowd, you know, at WrestleMania weekend, people was like, "Oh, okay, this shit's official." But there was like none of that. If she was backstage at Heatwave, like show her. I know that, you know, she still had some CM. Like, just show her, dude. Fucking show her.
I have long since questioned the business dealings of what goes down in Lucha. There are too many people who are able to just step in and out of their deals. I was just like, are there actual contracts in this country? What's happening?
Did you see what Tyler posted? No. Did you see today about it said top Japanese top Mexican and Japanese promotions, and it had it said Japan and Mexico, and they were like shaking hands in the middle.
Oh my god, no.
That's pretty fun.
That's great.
All right, fellas, are you ready to hop onto the Dirt Sheet page with me and we look at some of the other stuff that's been going on?
Let's see it.
Yeah, let's go. Hold on, I just got to answer a text. Give me 1 second.
Go for it.
I'm still here, so go ahead.
Oh, we were talking about...
It's a Mac the Black album.
Sorry, I'm still at work, guys.
You know, like different like Lucha Libre, CML. So there's the mysterious luchador that everyone's been talking about with
Mysterioso.
So I've been seeing a lot of people talking about who this is. At first I was like everyone saying Aerostar. Exactly. We've been hearing Ricochet. We've been hearing people say Sammy Guevara because the dude that ran into the Vortex looks just like him.
That's very interesting.
Also, by the way, side tangent. Do you guys remember?
Too?
There was a little bit of a video package on Saturday night where it was some dude running into a vortex. It looked a lot like Sammy Guevara, but honestly, it could have been just some generic person. Sammy's got that kind of Sammy Guevara. Sammy's got that kind of like generic quality to him. Also, side tangent. Do you guys remember that era when everyone else used to think Ricochet was a white kid?
Wait, what'd you say, Nick? When Ricochet was what?
There was an era where when the double moonsault was going viral in like 2009, 2010, Ricochet had long silky hair and was super pale that a lot of people thought he was a skinny white indie kid.
I do remember hair Ricochet. Oh my god.
That was a deep cut.
Yeah.
Ricochet was as much white as I used to think Taz was black.
I was just having a conversation about that with somebody where someone was like, what race is Taz? I was like, he's Italian.
Taz's white son walks out on Dynamite, and fucking Craig's like, "What the shit?"
Yeah, seriously. Seriously. When I was young, I was like, "Fuck yeah, Taz! That's my black world champion." I was wrong about that shit. I was so wrong.
Wasn't that something that like Sabu was using to defend himself that he wasn't racist? He was like, "What are you talking about? I put Taz over."
Nice. Oh man, I'm curious to see who this is. You know, I would almost, even though I kind of think he's mid as shit, I would kind of almost rather it be Sammy Guevara, just so I can stop hearing about people telling me that Sammy is off TV because Sasha Banks is there.
Oh God.
I just want that to be done with.
So who did they say this is? Amaris? Amaris?
Yeah.
Oh, was that the name they used?
Yeah.
I've heard different pronunciations of that name too, by the way.
Oh man, it's time to do etymology. No, I'm kidding.
Here's the thing, though. There's a lot of people that were reporting that it was all these other people too. So it's like I don't even know. But honestly, I'm okay with not knowing because I think that's kind of some of the fun of it.
No, those are the AEW plants who want you to believe something else.
Guys, it's gravity.
He's back. Spaceman. Here we go. We were watching this on Dynamite earlier. I'm really excited for this one of Dynamite 250, Ospreay and MJF. It's crazy that that's going to probably be opening the show.
All right. So did you guys hear the discourse on this from people?
I haven't heard anything at all. But before you start, I wanted to ask: Is this the We Beat Nitro episode?
I don't think so. I think there's like maybe 20 episodes left. But here's the thing. So I was looking at this graphic earlier, and I went to the comments, which I shouldn't do because it immediately gave me eye cancer. But people were saying that this is the Goldberg Nitro from the Georgia Dome giving away a pay-per-view match on free TV, and I wanted to throw my phone into the Boston Harbor. because number one, that match happened in 1998, which I'm pretty sure the person commenting wasn't even fucking born yet. Okay. Nice. Number two, that match was supposed to be a non-title match and was made a title match when Hogan walked into the dome that night. Okay. And number three,
like the place is hot.
Yeah, well, they had said on the Thunder before that, if you watch the Thunder before, J.J. Dillon comes out and says that it's a non-title match. And people were like, oh, okay, that's still cool. And then, like, Sunday night going into Monday, they announced, nah, brother, it's a title match.
Yeah.
You know?
And he's got to fight Scott Hall first, too.
But listen, there are so many dream matches with Will Ospreay. And why can't you just do this match again? I mean, I hate to sound like 2007 to 2010 Raw, but if it's a fuck finish, or like a controversial finish where MJF like wins by cheating by hitting him with the dynamite ring or something, like
Mac, your audio quality dipped so much.
I'm sorry, can you hear me better?
Not really, no.
Hold on, let me try my headphones here, boys. Hold on.
Mac sounds like an alien right now.
Okay. Hold on.
This fortress, this was impenetrable.
But here's the thing, too, is when you think about, like, the Goldberg thing, like, that was a huge world title change that how many people wanted because Goldberg was so hot. That is not at all the same spirit here.
You were good for a second, then it went back.
Let me try coming in and coming out again. I'll be right back.
Go for it. There's two things from that idea that people miss. One, you could obviously say, yeah, you gave away the master title match on TV, but at the time, TV was the most important thing to them because it was the Raw versus SmackDown thing. not Raw versus SmackDown, the Raw versus Nitro thing, which they attempted to go off into Raw versus SmackDown.
Exactly. All right, there's Mac. How's
Mac?
that sound quality?
Is it better?
Oh yeah,
Much better.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
great.
so good.
Yeah. So I was saying, one, the importance of that is understanding also that like the TV was so much more important at the time because it was Raw versus Nitro, and like Nitro was trying to get wins. Damn it.
Yeah.
Secondly, I looked at this and I said to myself, you know, the match could just straight up not happen. Have you ever watched wrestling TV before?
Like, I mean, look to it. Like, Greg, you were saying how this was like the Monday Night Wars. Nitro was built upon having those pay-per-view quality matches every single week. The vast majority might not have always ended a certain way, but that was the point of Nitro.
And many of them didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
Like you'd advertise, you know, like, oh, it's gonna be Hogan and Sting, and then somebody gets jumped.
Shenanigans, and then the Dungeon of Doom runs down.
Oh God, no! Stop it!
But you know what the thing is too is like,
I've never changed the channel faster.
The Zodiac is here.
you know what the thing is though is like the discourse online is also that like AEW is trying to beat WWE's ratings, and like no one like has ever said that. Like AEW has never said we are competing with WWE's ratings. We're trying to get better ratings than Raw. Like no one has ever said that. That's just like a discourse online. When you had WCW, Eric Bischoff was literally coming out on TV and saying like, we're going to pop a rating for this one. And then saying, you know, we're going to put butts in. Oh yeah. Mick Foley winning the title is going to put butts in seats, and, you know, like trying to actively do things to get WWF.
Greg, you are breathing into your microphone.
Like trying to get WWF like off, like trying to like kill the company. The only people that are trying to kill AEW are the WWE fans. Like WWE doesn't even mention AEW. Never. Like they mentioned them a couple of times when Triple H said, "Oh, I'll buy that." Oh, Vince will buy that pissant company. Or when Sami Zayn was in that like electric hot chair or whatever it was, and he said, "Oh, I'll even take questions about AEW." Like that's the only time WWE has like ever mentioned AEW. I know Punk went on Raw and, you know, said like, "Oh, there's people even on the hard cam side," like, you know, but like other than that, like WWE never mentions AEW like at all, and vice versa. Like AEW has like really stopped talking about WWE also.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing too was like with Tony Khan going on those like Twitter tirades, but even then, that's pretty much stopped and slowed down considerably. He doesn't really mention them all that much anymore. He listened to a lot of the people on the inside telling him, "Yeah, slow down on that."
I think the last time, I think it really stopped around the time that Will Ospreay said, you know, about the, you know, the grind and Triple H only getting where he was because he banged the boss's daughter. Like, I think that's right around the time that it stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no better way to know you won when like they take such an ugly cheap shot like that. It's like, oh, we don't have to say anything anymore.
Yeah. It's like when Drake released that thing after Not Like Us, and Kendrick was like, "Yeah, this shit is pussy. I'm not even gonna respond."
I
already won. What's the point?
Yeah.
That's great.
He's already dead.
Yeah. There were always like little pot shots because like Punk will do the whole like people on this side of the hard cam, or the choke artist. Not like I'm a choke artist, Pat. But other than that, I think there was the comment that Edge made about other people using Miz's name on their shows.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, but you know what? Like the mentions of WWE were really heavy when Punk was there. Like I don't remember anybody else doing it. Like it was like Punk, like saying, you know, you're just a poor man's version of Miz, and
the less famous Miz,
or you can go do a buy two get one free, you know, WrestleMania show, you know, and then being a hypocritical
in that case
to the company.
So in that case, that was based on the whole angle that MGF was trying to do of just like, I might go to the other company.
Yeah, but you know what? But even MJF at the time, even though he mentioned it a couple of times, it wasn't like he was hammering it home every week. You know, he just kept saying like, "Oh, the bidding war of 2024," you know, blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
Right.
And then Punk was like, "Hey, you think the grass is greener on the other side?" You know, and it's like you don't need that, dude. You're not trying to be WWE. You're trying to be the alternative to WWE. So be the alternative, and and shut the fuck up about WWE, pretty much. You know.
And that was always one of the big issues at the time too, was the fact that it felt at a certain point before like World's End where AEW was almost trying to be WWE light at times.
Well, the whole MJF run, listen, let's all just be honest with ourselves. MJF is a quintessential WWE heel. He really is. He wrestles like a WWE guy. He cuts promos like a WWE guy. I mean, when he's not swearing.
Sure.
Right.
You know, he's he has WWE written all over him. So when he was in the main event and going like 30 minutes, like, don't get me wrong, Max is a great wrestler. Like I knew Max when he was in Beyond Wrestling and used to talk to him all the time out of character. And he's a great dude. He's a great professional wrestler. But when you're the alternative, you can't have a guy who's like MJF, who wrestles like MJF, because it kind of reminded me of like having Randy Orton as AEW World Champion. That's what it reminded me of. You know, not to say that he's boring or anything, because MJF's far from boring. I think he's very entertaining. I think his shtick gets a little boring after a while. It's very one-dimensional. But a guy like Swerve Strickland is perfect for AEW to be AEW champion because, number one, you saw the ceiling that they had for him in WWE when he was called up to SmackDown and he was right back in the mid-card, you know.
He became a sidekick for Top Dollar.
Yeah, and now, arguably, well, not arguably, it is the second biggest promotion in the United States. He's the AEW World Champion on TV every single week, on TV for 20 minutes out of a 2-hour show. He's on pay-per-view doing 40-minute matches with Will Ospreay, who is arguably the greatest wrestler in the world right now. You know, it just felt like I said, I hate to repeat myself, but Randy Orton as AEW champion when Max had the belt, and now it really feels like AEW with somebody like Swerve.
Sure. I kind of always liked the idea as in the alternative program, you had an MJF character that represents the thing you hate, which made him such a natural heel character, because you didn't want that guy on the top, because he was the avatar for like that other thing that we didn't like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with that sometimes becomes, which is a weird thing where sometimes pro wrestling is broken, is when you are too good at your job, nobody wants to hate you.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. See, the thing about MJF also is it's good to have somebody who's not the quintessential, you know, for lack of a better term, indie top guy as your champion. You have somebody like MJF who feels like he's holding the belt hostage, and you have your AEW originals like Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara going after the title to try to get it back from him. But a year of that, and I know like 5 or 6 months out of that was him with that whole Adam Cole thing. But
God, don't get me started.
But did that fucking devil thing just drag the fuck on, dude? And all to get to Samoa Joe being the world champion.
Yeah, nothing for that whole group where they seem like we've got big things planned for them. They are just a sideshow.
Dude, Adam Cole breaking his ankle and derailing that whole undisputed kingdom thing. But here's the thing. They have stopped and started, and right now completely stopped with Wardlow. You have Matt Taven.
He's not even around anymore.
No, that's what I said.
Is he not?
Completely stopped right now. No. And you don't have Adam Cole on TV every week. And Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, you know, although very, very, very good wrestlers, have never been taken seriously in their career. They've always kind of been like the jokey tag team. I mean, dude, they can go. They can put on a 30-minute tag classic. I've seen them against the Briscoes, against the Addiction.
But like Matt Taven is also known as like the scourge of Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like dude, I went to a show in 2011, a Ring of Honor show in 2011, and Matt Taven was on the pre-show, and he took a pinfall in like 3.5 minutes to Grizzly Redwood.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was.
That's a memory.
It was in Plymouth, Massachusetts. It was like a tag match. It was like Taven and like Sugarfoot Alex Shane or something like, or whatever his name was.
Okay.
And yeah, against like Grizzly Redwood and Cheeseburger.
Not the cheeseburger.
The goat. Cheeseburger, yeah, the goat.
Oh my God.
Remember when Cheeseburger had a little stint on AEW Dark?
Nick, did you say his name? Because he just appeared.
Exactly. I am so happy that I was scrolling through different things. I did not realize our page posted so much about Stephanie McClure, but it just goes to show what a big deal that was. Speaking of big deals, though, we talked about this guy numerous times, but you gotta feature the picture at some point. Greg, it's your favorite.
Greg right now is going to sleep.
Say his name and he appears. We've talked about a lot of the stuff already, so I'm just gonna kind of zoom through things.
That's all right.
So one thing about Joe Henry is that I like the Joe Henry gimmick. I think the gimmick's good, but sometimes at some time it's going to die out. And you got to understand that Joe Henry has a very short shelf life. The whole thing's going to die out, and it's going to be a testament to see if Joe can still be like a wrestler.
Is there something under that?
Yeah. Is there something beneath the sideshow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because like memes aside, you know, we've seen for years, you know, his ability to capitalize on his musical talents, which he is naturally gifted at that. But like you said, you know, there's such a limit to that, you know, and that'll only take you so far. You got to find those ways to continuously evolve your persona and character. Yeah. Unless you're Adam Cole and you're just the same thing everywhere.
Sure. I mean, listen, like you knock on him, but like, it's one thing when just being Adam Cole, I guess, works. It's another thing when you are like, Joe Hendry is not that far from becoming Perfect 10.
Right.
And like the Perfect 10 joke only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
Number 10 in every Royal Rumble.
Yeah, right.
And you know what the thing is about Joe Henry is that he's been doing this for like 2 years now, but the meme had just finally caught online about maybe like 3-4 months ago, you know, like he had been doing it in TNA for a year before it finally caught on. Like he was doing like I think he did like videos on like Matt Cardona when Matt Cardona was like going after the Digital Media Championship. He was going he's made videos against like AJ Francis. He's made you know. So he's been doing this for like a year, and then all of a sudden it just caught fire.
You know how I knew it had been going on for a while? I had a vague memory of the fact that Hendry was doing custom music specifically for every person. And then the one song caught on, and then we just do that one.
Yeah, he did an AI video, a really bad AI video, but I think it was supposed to be bad, of Rich Swann and like and AJ Francis like singing his song. And it was real bad, but it was so bad that it was funny. Yeah. You know. And
then like, and I think I know he did like the blue song for Drew McIntyre to his name.
Yeah, he did that, I think, in ICW, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he, you know what? I mean, I saw a lot of people last night saying that when he had that hot tag spot with Trick Williams last night, that people are like, "Oh my God, Joe Henry's cooking," and I'm like, "Well, this is just the basic hot tag that
Yeah.
the Miz does. It's not anything special. Like, stop trying to correlate the hotness of him with his wrestling, because it's not the same thing.
It is not. And granted, there is something to be learned there about how, if you're over, the most basic shit is hot as hell.
Yeah, I mean, look at Grado. Grado was...
Do I have to? Can I not?
No, but, I mean, listen, I know, Greg. I know your feelings about Grado. I've heard him in the past. But I'm saying, when he would...
No, I know.
When he would come out to Madonna, and then he had that TNA run, and, he was hot. Look how hot Colt Cabana was for...
Yeah.
That was a time.
Yeah, 5-6 years,
Yeah.
I mean, it got completely derailed when he went to WWE and they just, chopped his balls off. But and he was never able to get that back. But
in fairness, Colt Cabana kind of got derailed twice.
Yeah, and the whole
because he went to the WWE and that sucked, and then somehow he actually made that NWA champion thing work, and then they cut his balls off.
Yeah, the best of 7 thing with Pierce.
Yeah.
Can we take a moment to mention there was a Reddit post somewhere, I cannot find it, I tried finding it again, where someone talked about, has there ever been a wrestler so insignificant who has been a part of some of the most groundbreaking moments in wrestling history? He's in the pipe bomb. He's a huge cause for so many of the things that happened with AEW. You got his connection to things without truly being a part of them is phenomenal and something that needs to be studied.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's real. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. And he was the fucking, he was the catalyst for the whole fucking, he got caught in the crossfire of the whole fucking Brawl Out.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's been a part of so many major moments without actually being a part of it.
Yeah.
In fact, and he is a catalyst for this thing we are doing now, because the oversaturated wrestling podcast industry is his baby.
Yeah.
He was one of the first ones, to start doing the art of wrestling.
And in fact, in doing so, Colt Cabana absolutely killed the shoot interview industry.
Yeah. He really did. Yeah.
Goodbye, our video.
And of course, in typical Y2J fashion, Jericho started fucking the Jericho podcast and glommed onto a hot superstar.
Not the Vortex, no.
Jericho Vortex.
Dude, let me ask you a question. I don't want to get off on a big tangent because I know Nick probably wants to talk about Cena's retirement. But one thing I want to ask you guys, is, it's up there on the screen, so I figure you want to talk about it.
He knows.
So do you guys think, tonight was especially great because they had such, a good segment with Samoa Joe getting Kool-Aid Man through the wall?
Okay.
Which Colt Cabana was around for.
Through the paper.
Do you guys like Jericho leaning into this whole Jericho Vortex thing and being a character that's not self-aware but also self-aware at the same time? Is it working for you?
So for me, on one level, as a
hi guys,
as on one level, as just a petty asshole, I kind of appreciate the idea that he saw what the internet was saying about him and was just like, I'm going to use it. And I'm going to shove it in their goddamn faces.
CM Punk method. He's like, the internet thinks I'm an asshole? Well, I'm just going to be a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
In a sense, yes.
Yeah. I kind of like it because it gives Big Bill and somebody who's severely underrated, Brian Keith, TV time. So I'm all for that.
That's fair.
Absolutely. Anything to get Bounty Hunter more time. I like the Bad Apple. It's been a fun aspect of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
right,
only
Nick, you wanna
the only
talk
thing about that is. I mean, the only thing about that
We'll
that's
never get
weird
to.
for me is the only thing about that that's weird for me is sometimes that like there's so many of these characters that get brought in as just like these Jericho adjacent guys, and like it seems like for so long they're only known as these Jericho adjacent guys, and then they have to create this persona after the fact.
Well, yeah, because you look at now, especially, and now that's interesting that you say that, Greg, because I kind of look at Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker as like baby Jericho. You know, I kind of look at Daniel Garcia and I go, man, I really would have liked this guy 2 years ago if he was a singles wrestler and not in the Jericho Vortex. And then
you really would have liked him as the guy he came in as.
Yes. Yeah, dude.
Keep being you.
Let me tell you something. The biggest missed opportunity in AEW history was when he and Bryan Danielson were doing the thing, the wrestler, I'm a sports entertainer. Just put him in the fucking Blackpool Combat Club, you fucks.
Did you know about what happened there, though?
No, what happened?
So if the story I underhood, good lord, it's 3 a.m.
late.
If the story I understood was accurate, the idea was that Daniel Garcia was totally going to be in the Blackpool Combat Club. Like that was the idea. That was it. Like Bryan Danielson wanted him. It was an obvious fit.
Yeah, that was the pitch.
Jericho thought that Daniel Garcia's chemistry with the other two clowns was too good to lose.
No.
That being Angelo Parker and Daddy Magic. Those are their names, right?
Listen,
yes.
I do like the father-son dynamic of Matt Menard and Daniel Garcia.
Yes.
I do like that, but I'm willing to sacrifice that if we can go back 2.5 years and put him in the fucking black, or a year and a half ago and put him in the Blackpool Combat Club.
Here was my problem with that whole thing. That whole point was, I don't think we should lose the incredible chemistry that Daniel Garcia have with Angelo Parker and Matt Menard. And so they do the thing, and Garcia has little to no screen time with those two motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So like this was pointless unless you were really big into like the YouTube skits.
And then remember Sammy coming back, and they have that little kind of pushing match with each other that nobody talked about since or following.
Yeah.
And so got even less opportunity with that group.
And then MJF killed him last week, so rest in peace, Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, he was gone.
Oh,
that was a brutal segment. But you know what else was brutal? The fact that John Cena has been on our screen. Wait, someone's there? I don't see. I just see the crowd.
I don't see anybody. I just see a crowd.
Oh, jeez, we're still doing this.
We got. That's the thing.
I
am so happy continues on for this very day, and it's even transcending beyond wrestling fans.
It will never end.
We're on the John Cena farewell tour. John Cena will be, unfortunately, retiring. Childhood, teenage years, adolescence. A lot of it was hating John Cena, but now it's going to be spent in adulthood saying, thank you, Cena.
It is weird for me to know that I have seen the careers of Shawn Michaels and John Cena to almost completion. It just makes me feel very goddamn old.
Say something that's going to be controversial.
Is it?
What is it? What, Greg? Go ahead. Finish it, Greg.
Is it going to be controversial? Let's hear it. Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Dude, I don't give a shit.
Okay.
I don't give a shit that he's retiring. The guy's had like 4 matches in the past 6 years. I don't give a shit. I was never a Cena guy. I was never a fan. Dude, I was always all right, so I started really following John. I mean, I followed Cena when he was on SmackDown and with the spinning US title and everything, and he was cool as shit. When he came over on Raw in that big fucking Brian Urlacher jersey or whatever the fuck it was that night when he came over on the
big white one?
No, the big orange one. He came out.
Oh, the big orange. Yes, you're absolutely right.
On the highlight reel, yeah.
Yes.
jersey, but it did look like a Brian Urlacher jersey.
Thank you, John C. Burton.
I gave you that. That's a reference for you, Nick.
I know. I appreciate it.
So, dude, like when he started fighting my guys like Christian and Jericho and Kurt Angle and not so much Triple H. I wasn't really a Randy Orton guy either, but like guys like Carlito and stuff like that. I always rooted against Cena, even though I knew he was going to, LOL, Cena wins every time. Dude, I was watching an episode of Monday Night Raw from 2005 the other day, and Cena was the champion. He had just won the championship maybe like, I want to say like a month previous. And then I watched a Raw from 2011, and he was still the fucking champion! Oh my fucking God, dude. 7 years. He finally lost the title to Punk, and then he kind of like didn't win it again for a long time after that until like 2016. But it was 6.5 years of Cena winning the title, having it for a year and a half, losing it for 3 weeks, having it for another 8 months, and then losing it for 2 weeks, and then having it for another 14 months. Dude, I was over Cena by 06. Like right after that, what was that? What was the Umaga match at Royal Rumble? 07?
Yeah.
Was that the last man standing?
Yeah.
That was 07.
Right after that match, I was like, okay, I don't have to see you anymore. And then he comes out with the fucking Fruity Pebbles shirt, and he has the thing with the Rock, and I was just like, dude, this sucks! Sucks! God, dude, I do not, and I know I'm probably offending some people watching it because it was their childhood. This wasn't my childhood. Hulk Hogan, The Ultimate Warrior, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Shawn Michaels, Psycho Sid, that was my childhood, okay? By the time Cena debuted in 2002, I was 20 years old. And this guy just did not appeal to me whatsoever. He's never done anything for me. And seeing a 51 now? 51.
What does Wikipedia say?
What does he say? I'm gonna say he's 49.
Okay.
I want to say
over under Nick.
I just looked it up, so
what is it?
47.
Okay. A 47-year-old balding John Cena who has no passion left in his body except for acting. I don't want to see in the ring anymore. You don't have to stay another year, John. We're good. You put over Solo Sikoa. Now he's the head of the Bloodline. You spearheaded the fucking Bloodline Civil War. Thank you. Fuck you. Goodbye.
No appreciation for putting over Austin Theory.
Oh, God.
I honestly forgot that happened.
Honestly, this isn't me playing devil's advocate or trying to be the heel on the show, because I don't do that fucking stupid bullshit where people play characters on podcasts. I don't do that. I do not give a single, and I'm going to bring back an old rock trope here, I don't give a single drop of moose piss about John Cena.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Nice.
Mac, this is the Mac content that I am here for.
Yeah!
I appreciate that insight. No, I mean, honestly, I look back at certain Cena matches and moments fondly just from the sense that he was a part of some real great things. Like I'm thinking back to being there live for Money in the Bank 2011. Let me just say,
yes, of course.
Iconic.
Okay. The stuff with
moment.
Punk was great. The Punk stuff was great. But dude, I mean, I almost fucking shit a brick when he beat fucking Michaels at WrestleMania 23? Dude, I almost shit a brick.
That felt like it made sense, though.
I did mark out when they did the tag team battle royal for the Raw After Mania back when they still didn't care that it was the Raw After Mania. And Shawn Michaels super kicks him right out of the ring at the second battle royal they did.
Yeah. I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. I have some Cena shit that I look back on. I'm like, okay, yeah, that was cool. You know, kind of like one that sticks out in my head is the DX triple threat at Survivor Series, and Triple H gets super kicked right at the beginning of the match.
Yeah.
He's like, ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, every wrestler is going to have, the moments where it's like, this is some great stuff and this is some, pretty bad stuff for them. But the big thing that I did not like about Cena was I will never forgive him for destroying what was so cool with the Nexus. That had so much potential.
Oh, yeah.
That will always be my one biggest thing that I think of when I'm like, Cena messed this up.
I'm aware Cena's
on the concrete and he came back and won.
Listen, if you've watched the pro wrestling like I've seen, that seems tame to me. These days, that seems so tame. Even back then, it did because wrestlers are doing wild shit. I'm weird about that one because I get it. Cena had his involvement in that. I passed the buck over to the writing team, letting it happen.
No, so did you ever hear the story about that?
Yes.
Where the Nexus was supposed to go over, and then Cena was like, "Nah, it's not happening, dog.
Doesn't work for me, brother."
And I was just like, the people who are above Cena let that shit happen.
Yeah, but here's the thing,
it's the Hogan philosophy.
Well, yeah, but that's like I said, like I mentioned Hogan growing up and loving Hogan, and they pretty much just copy and pasted the Hogan, Hogan blueprint onto Cena. You'd think I should love him, but looking back in the day, I was stupid. I didn't have a brain. I was like 4 years old, and I just saw red, white, and blue, and I saw this hot dog fucking colored man, fighting for the USA. I loved him, But Cena was just so Hogan felt authentic back in the day. Say what you want about him now being a racist, and he's a piece of shit. But back in the day, Hogan felt authentic. Like he didn't feel like he was, he didn't feel like a corporate made thing. Kind of like I felt like Hogan was the Christopher Reeve Superman, and John Cena is the Vought Homelander type of put together superhero. He just screamed fake.
For some reason I thought you were gonna say Dean Cain.
No. I wish. But no, he kind of feels like a Homelander, like he was created. Like Hogan, of course Hogan was also created by Vince McMahon, but man, he just felt so authentic. He felt real, brother, And Cena just never felt real to me. I never felt like any of course I love the shit that he did with Make-A-Wish and all that and dying kids and stuff that was great. Yeah. Cena the guy, he seemed like he was okay, a little anal retentive with the whole Total Divas thing and being a dick to Nikki Bella and kind of not liking Bryan Danielson, but
I never watched that show.
Oh, what about the situation with Kenny Dykstra and Mickie James? Look that up.
Oh, yeah, that too, But, yeah, I don't know, man. Cena just never did it for me. Never, ever, ever did it for me.
I did not have that. I didn't have that problem. I think I had some periods where I was up on Cena and I was down on Cena. I was up on Cena right in the beginning. I was down on Cena a little bit around the time of the first U.S. title run, just because I felt like there was I felt like he got a little lazy, but I think he was I think he was just protecting himself because he was working through some injuries and he was just trying to stay in the game. I know there are a lot of people who get very upset about some of the world title runs. I'm more upset about the belt than anything.
It should have just been exclusive to Cena. That's it.
And then they kept it going for no reason.
It didn't belong on anybody else. But I have nothing bad to say about the stuff at Edge. The match with Rob Van Dam lives rent free in my mind.
That entrance, though,
best performances.
Walking into the Lion's Den is iconic.
Yes, and Cena is perfect at the as someone else put it, as I'm the away team guy here.
Oh yeah,
and I know it. He knows that you don't put that on. You don't do that in the Hammerstein Ballroom, or you don't do that at the Boston Garden in Chicago, because I know I'm not the guy here.
Oh yeah, because those are the crowds where they will let you know that you are not welcome there.
Yeah.
And you know the funny thing is too is like I kind of blame independent wrestling for me not liking Cena because I've seen guys like Tyler Black, Seth Rollins, Kevin Steen, El Generico, Roderick Strong, Chris Hero, Claudio Castagnoli. I've seen these guys come through the ranks and make it to WWE. And anytime a guy ever came up into the WWE and made it into NXT and then made it to the main roster, you just knew that they weren't going over Cena. Like Cena was the benchmark, you know? So it's like the Chris Rock thing when he says, like, you know, when you black when you white, the sky's the limit. When you black, the limit's the sky. You know? So it's like, yeah, oh, cool. Here comes Kevin Steen. Oh man, he just beat Cena at Battleground. Holy shit. Oh, wait a minute. He just lost the next 3 pay-per-views to Cena. Like, fuck. You know? So I kind of blame like indie darlings coming up because you get so attached to guys like Tyler Black, you get attached to guys like El Generico, and you kind of look at the landscape of the WWE when you sign there, and it's like, well, they're not going to be fucking the top guy for the, you know, the next like 15 years, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to be anybody when like the company thinks they found that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, fucking Jay. Now that was funny. Fucking Jay Uso yeeting the fuck out of there.
I love. That's my favorite hidden gem of it is the fact that he's in his own way afraid of him. He's like, I promise, I was just keeping the Fireflies safe. I didn't steal them.
Dude, there was 2 of those on Raw with fucking Braun Breaker pointing to something and Adam Pearce looking, and then him just running and fucking killing Sami Zayn.
That was great too.
Yeah, that was real fun.
Going back to like what we were previously talking about, like one of the other like little hidden gem Cena things that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but I personally really enjoyed was Cena and Sabu. That had no business being fun, but it was. I enjoyed it.
Great chemistry.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you would not expect that, but they worked well together.
You know who else worked really well with John Cena? Claudio Castagnoli.
Oh yeah,
dude. I'm thinking
they
back.
were putting bangers on Raw.
Oh yeah, dude, John Cena's U.S. title open challenge was iconic.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, him and Ambrose.
Oh yeah,
fucking great. Yeah. You know what's funny, Greg? I heard the other day. I don't know how true this is, but Bruce Pritchard was talking about it. Do you remember the angle where Cena had where he got stabbed up in the Boston nightclub?
Is it by Jesus?
By Jesus.
By
No, but do you know who it was originally supposed to be?
Who?
I think I do.
Go ahead, Nick.
Now, I've heard the story that this guy pitched himself as this. Are we talking about
No. This was supposed to happen, but when he was on his way to New York, he found out that he had a warrant for his arrest and turned back around wherever the hell he was going.
Oh, my God.
Showed up. Who do you think it is, Nick?
I was saying New Jack.
Yeah!
Because I've heard the story that New Jack pitched it, and they were just like, all right, we like the idea that there's a wrestler want to take initiative, and we don't have to come up with things. And this is just what I heard from like the dirt sheets at the time. And then I heard about some dark match he had with Val Venus, and then they're like, we're not really signing New Jack, are we?
Yeah, I had heard that he was on his way to either, I want to say it was New York to meet with Vince McMahon, and then he got tipped off that he had a warrant for his arrest in New York City, and like turned around in like fucking Connecticut and like fucking and just split.
That's funny.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes 2 stories recently that I've heard about New Jack losing out on opportunities in the Big 2 because of some bullshit.
Wait, he had a Big 2 at WCW too?
Supposedly there was a story about New Jack coming in as like the one in-ring guy for that No Limit Soldiers gimmick.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
And then that fell through because somebody was just like, "Who the fuck's hiring New Jack? Do y'all know who he is?
Y'all know his reputation."
Greg, who was the guy that ended up staying? Like, he came in with the No Limit Soldiers, and he ended up staying like a couple of months, and ended up being like halfway decent.
Oh, I forgot who, but I know who you're talking.
Are you guys talking about Big Swole?
Yes, Big Swole.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, he came in and he was actually like a staple on Thunder. Like, he was beating jobbers on Thunder.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
And he was decent.
Not the Big Swole we would meet many years later.
No, a very different one.
Yeah.
Dude,
Tony liked Big Swole.
Dude, no, like I remember I heard that like really Big Swole's gonna be in AEW. I was like, no way. And I turned, I'm like, this is not the Big Swole I thought I was even. Oh, you remember the other one?
Big Swole's going through some changes.
Big Swole, he was different than I remember. You remember the other one? What was the dude's name? 4x4?
No, I don't remember that.
He's just a big tank of a dude that made like a couple appearances and then we never saw him again.
No.
Dude, so I'm listening to, I've been going back, like, I just discovered the Deadlock podcast, and I've been going back and listening to a lot of Deadlock, like, retro rewinds of the WCW shows, dude, and this company was fucking garbage.
Nice.
Like, I remember growing up and watching WCW, but I think I just, like, kind of like a molestation, just blocked out the bad parts, and just kind of like remember the good things, like, you know, Scott Hall taking a survey and shit like that, you know, and like and just like the cruiserweights and stuff. Like, I was watching a show the other day, and it was like Coach or something like that with Goldberg in like a handicap match against like Scott Steiner, where if Goldberg lost, he would lose his contract for WCW and never be seen again. And they just had this, like, his coach or something. I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
It
was terrible.
I grew up as a huge WCW guy. We were a WCW family through and through. We've said that for years on this show. Yep.
I'm sorry,
I know. Hey, now, there was a lot of real good stuff about WCW.
Especially in the first hour.
Oh my gosh. Man, I'm thinking back, and I love, and this is me, a huge shout out, Wrestling Bios. Reliving the War is one of my favorite series. Steve Michael the Blackman, you got the Mean Street Posse, of course.
Oh, God.
Everything about Reliving the War is so great. So if you haven't watched that, please check that out. But just rewatching some things, it's crazy to see how much I love WCW, especially in like 96, 97. And then, like, even 98 was tolerable in a lot of parts. But then just seeing the severe decline of 99 and then 2000, it's just like, where did we go wrong?
But you know what? But in WCW 2000 and 2001, you did have the little glimmer of hope of the cruiserweights. Like, they just didn't give a fuck anymore. They were like, just go out there and fucking do whatever.
Yeah.
And then you had the hardcore title shit with like Terry Funk and Brian Knobbs and Norman Smiley, screaming Norman Smiley. Like, that shit was a nugget of gold in a mountain of shit. But if you just go back and watch those, like on the WWE Network, like Norman Smiley getting like pantsed and then kendo sticked over the head and thrown in an elevator, like, that shit's fun, dude.
Dude, there's so many things where I go back and see all these like hidden gem moments for WCW, and you're seeing the reactions that Norman Smiley's getting. And freaking Alex Wright is getting people like just standing up, like,
dude, the cat.
Oh my gosh, dude, the amount of talent that WCW had on their roster is insane to see how we let that slide. And people talk about like AEW's roster is insane. Like, y'all weren't there for the 250 plus people that were on that WCW roster, and every single one of them in one way or another had some kind of name value, either through the major circuits or even on the independent circuit.
So there was a match, Brian Knobbs versus Norman Smiley, who was, by the way, in full like football like outfit, right?
Yeah.
Versus Ralphus.
Ralphus got over.
Jericho left. He was on the roster after Jericho.
Yeah.
Jesus,
that happened.
You know what? That era, that if nothing else, it made me an early Shane Helms fan, and I followed his career quite closely after that. It made me take Kaz Hayashi actually kind of seriously in those last years with the Young Dragons.
Oh, dude, Young Dragons and 3 Count was legendary.
It was, and then I discovered an old guy. And then out of that, I discovered a young little Southern man named Jamie Noble.
Yeah. Oh, yep. James Gibson, baby. Hell yeah.
Yes.
You know what? There's a match in WCW where I think 3 Count has one of their gold records hanging from the ceiling.
Yes.
And it's just a 6-man ladder match, and the first one to grab it. And it's a stupid concept. It's just a gold record. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, but they go.
3 Count gave a fuck. They sang for that.
They went, dude, hard.
They went fucking hard in this match. I think Meltzer gave it like 4 stars, and it was just like an opening match on fucking. I think it was Thunder. Like, they just like. Dude, they were like suplexing each other onto ladders, like no protection whatsoever. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, there's only like 800,000 people watching the show. Relax.
Dude, you guys remember when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came an amazing young competitor by the name of Blitzkrieg?
Dude,
oh my God,
was the shit in WCW versus NWO. In the N64 game, shit.
See, like, I had not been watching the TV very much back then, so my only exposure to Blitzkrieg was the one Rey Mysterio Jr. match on pay-per-view. Not Rey Mysterio Jr., excuse me. Juventud Guerrero.
On Spring Stampede.
Yes, where he Ruby drivers him from the second rope like a jumper.
Oh my God, I remember that.
That was honestly like the last truly good WCW pay-per-view too.
Yes,
Alex Wright on TV, which was real good as well.
So,
yeah.
Are you ready for another bit of Nick trivia?
Go for it.
Yes.
Blitzkrieg had a tryout dark match where he teamed with one Super Dragon in WCW.
Oh my God.
No way. Oh my God.
Yeah. The dark match is available on there. So if you go type in Blitzkrieg and Super Dragon, you'll find it on YouTube.
Well, I know what I'm doing.
Wow.
Get out of here.
They took on, it was a Thunder Dark match. Blitzkrieg and Super Dragon take on American Wild Child and Dragon Yakuza.
What?
This is July 17th, 1998.
There's nothing dangerous about those choices at all.
Wow. Man, Blitzkrieg, that brought back a lot of memories, man. Holy shit.
Also, speaking of all this WCW talk, in reference to something we discussed earlier, Nitro had 288 episodes. So after next week, 38 more to go.
Okay.
And they've tied them.
And Eric Bischoff will make a huge deal of it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Eric Bischoff was already Eric Bischoff was already spouting out about like the Stephanie Van Care stuff, and I was like, dude, you didn't know who this bitch was like 3 weeks ago. Shut the fuck up.
So I want to mention just quickly how amusing that whole thing is for me. You have like these 2 documentaries going on right now. One is about a bunch of people trying to take credit for WrestleMania working, and the other one is a bunch of people trying to pass credit on to the death of a company. Dude, doing everything they can to deny credit for it going down.
Dude, people have been getting a lot of use out of that Rock meme. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they have. I still get a lot of use out of that supercut of Brett calling people fucking idiots.
Oh yeah, the supercut that's like 3 minutes long. What do you think about Vince Russo? Idiot. Right. What do you think about Bill Goldberg? Oh, he was just a stupid
fucking idiot. What a bunch of fucking dummies. Also, to that, you mentioned the Deadlock podcast earlier. I don't know what happened. Apparently, one of those podcast episodes brought people to my YouTube channel.
Really?
I don't use it like that, but many years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I had uploaded for posterity, because me and you all know that sometimes media gets lost these days.
Right.
Yeah.
And I saw something that, to me, said, this needs to be preserved. Future generations need to know this happened. When I was able to download episodes of Japanese wrestling television events, I came across an episode of the All Japan Pro Wrestling weekly series called B Banquet, which I believe stands for Battle Banquet, or something of the sort. And they had a very peculiar intro video for a professional wrestling program. It was a Japanese language cover of the song Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne.
Dude, I listened to this fucking podcast.
So because somebody played that on that episode, I was getting comments from like here from Deadlock, and I was like, what the fuck happened?
Dude, I'm telling you, I've been going I've been listening to random podcasts, and they were talking about that maybe a week ago or something. I remember that. Holy shit!
Wow.
Yeah, that's my video that I posted up on my YouTube channel.
Oh my god!
And I was like, why am I getting these fucking comments on this old ass video? What do you mean Deadlock mentioned it? Wait, no,
the views probably skyrocketed.
This channel was not meant for. It did. I screenshotted the metrics.
Oh my gosh, dude, that reminds me of a story. So I have a YouTube channel that I've had since February of 2007 probably.
You just have what you created and just don't use like that anymore. Right?
Exactly, I don't really use it. I tried to try to jump in as like a Halo content creator, but I'm like, I don't have the time to do this. So
right. I have a life.
But before then, I would be scrolling through stuff. Remember, in 2007, WWE did not embrace YouTube. They never uploaded stuff up there. So it was left to the whole user base to do so. So I uploaded, because I had a feeling that people like Giants Wrestling, and India is really getting into good old YouTube. So I popped up the WrestleMania 23 match of Kane and Great Khali. Terrible match. In 2007, YouTube got me over 93,000 views.
Wow.
Which, again, in 2007, there was not many videos at all that had 1 million views in that era.
Right.
Now it's commonplace, but at the time, it just didn't happen all that much.
Yeah.
And then WWE discovers YouTube, and then all of a sudden, that got a huge strike, and I was struck with that for about 5 years, give or take, before I could upload again.
So what's funny about that is that, like, I have also experienced the, the delayed retro strike.
Yep.
As a young lad, Gregory really enjoyed making music videos from the clips of his pirated wrestling programs, and using music that he obviously did not have the rights to use.
As we did back in the day. Greg's AMV is coming out there.
Yeah, so like my channel has a few music videos that I had put out that, it was just, I enjoyed doing the editing for, and then like over several years later, I'd wake up one day and I'm like, what is this about a copyright? I'm getting a copyright strike on a video that's 9 years old. What's happening?
Yeah,
it's been up here for so long.
Dude, our boss, John Escudero, got a copyright strike on a video that he'd taken on his own phone at Double or Nothing.
That was so fucked.
2 years ago from AEW, that got his whole Facebook page taken down.
Yeah, like, I own this. This is mine. I recorded it on my phone. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Which scared me from ever sharing videos. Like, I had to have John talk me into posting stuff on my own personal account that gets shared on there. Which, by the way, hey, if you are on the Dirt Sheet Radio page and you see Nick LaRocco on there, go make sure you react and make sure that you give a follow, please.
Fair enough.
Nick,
but he had to talk me into that.
I knew you guys probably already talked about it. I wasn't able to catch you guys earlier because I had a pretty busy
Go for
night
it
tonight. But
sure.
So I know they're probably going to explain it, But what is?
I mean, they might not.
What is Mariah May's motivation for turning on Toni Storm? Is it now she wants to be the star and feels like
Honestly.
that she's not the understudy anymore?
Maybe. I'm always willing to believe that maybe it was fake the entire time.
That's no, because like what we were talking about on the Dynamite recap show, which hey, you can go and check that out after Dynamite every Wednesday night. Make sure that you go and check that out because yours truly will be here. But yeah, the way I saw it was Mariah May was playing the game the whole time. This was the long con for her. She just wanted to make sure she got that guaranteed title shot on the big stage that is Wembley.
And was willing to use the champion to assist her to do it.
Exactly. She got everything she wanted, so he's like, I don't need you anymore. Bam!
Yeah.
I mean, it was shocking. You really don't see women bleed too much on television, you know?
Especially to that level, that extent. Yeah. It was more than Garcia.
Dude, when they were going off the air and she had her by her hair, she spit like a clump of blood out of her mouth, and I was like, holy fucking shit, dude. That looked like literally like a horror movie.
Hey, we still got the pictures from the Dynamite show.
Oh!
I don't know if we have the actual picture.
She was licking it up, wasn't she?
Oh. It was just, dude, that was... I wasn't watching the show. I was following along on X or Twitter for you old heads.
Yeah.
And I just saw my buddy Corey, shout out Corey Vaughn, at CV Highlights on Twitter. I saw him say something like, holy shit, that surprised me. And I was like, wait a minute, what's the main event? Did Willow win or something?
Right.
You know, because I knew that they were going to go Mariah. And then I kept saying, people going, holy fuck, what the fuck is going on? So I had to pirate a stream really quick. And all I saw was Mariah kissing blood off of Toni Storm, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
She's a vampire. Gangrel's been around too long.
Oh no!
And you know what? And that harkens back to the thing earlier about not being WWE. WWE would never do this.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and of course you're going to have people who, you know, AEW is a 5-year company. WWE's been around for 50 years. People grew up with WWE. You got people who are only 20, 22 years old watching WWE who have been conditioned all of their life to think that, women aren't supposed to bleed. Women aren't supposed to do this, that are going to watch AEW. And of course they're going to criticize it because it's not what they're conditioned to like.
Right.
You know, but I think this is what professional wrestling needs. It needs shock value. It needs a moment like this that's going to be memorable. You're going to remember this 5 years from now. You're going to remember Toni Storm bleeding. You're going to remember, you know, you're going to remember this angle. I mean, honestly, and I'm not saying this because I'm a WWE hater. WWE is always going to be my first love. I love WWE. I grew up on it. It's what I, you know, turned on my TV and turned it down really low when I was 7 or 8 years old to watch Raw, so that my parents wouldn't hear. You know, that's my company. But what WWE doesn't do very well nowadays is create moments. At least
used to always be their thing.
Yeah, WWE, you know, hey, the Wyatt Six coming out and debuting, cool, that's a moment, that's great. But in the grand scheme of things,
the whole ending of WrestleMania, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and the whole thing is they rarely ever step out from that WWE formula.
Yeah,
you're never gonna see. Let's just say you're never going to see Rhea Ripley drag a bloody Liv Morgan on WWE Raw or anything like that. You're never going to see a beatdown like that of that proportion with gigging and blood flowing down the head. You know,
because they have deeply entrenched themselves in as the family show.
Yes, and that's the thing. AEW has never presented themselves as family friendly. They've always presented themselves as they haven't always presented themselves as the alternative, but now they're embracing more of the alternative.
They try to.
Yeah, and that's what I don't get about the WWE versus AEW war that goes on between people in on Twitter and on Instagram and on Discourse and wherever you can talk about it is, it's like, dude, listen, AEW is never going to overtake WWE. It's not going to happen. Let's just throw it out on the table. It's never going to happen. But AEW exists because people got tired of the WWE formula. So if you like WWE, man, listen, go buy all the Wyatt Six merchandise, go buy the Yeet sunglasses, order, go watch SummerSlam. All the best to you, man. You love wrestling. You're a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling fan. We just like different types of wrestling. That's all. Like, we're all one big happy family, but, sometimes you get the drunk uncle that's like, no, this isn't good.
This is what you should like.
This is what you should like, dude.
Yeah.
Listen, if you want to believe that Bo Dallas has a split personality and is a big spooky man after being a jobber for years, that's fine, man. I'm going to go watch Will Ospreay, who's basically been the same dude for the past, 8 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Some people liked Chikara. I don't understand it, but they did.
Yeah, I mean, I went to
We don't talk to those people, Greg.
I went to a Chikara show one time in Revere, Massachusetts, just on a whim. They were like $8 tickets. And I saw Estonian Thunder Frog get killed. Like, they killed off the character.
Yeah.
Like, a guy came out with a big mallet and hit him with a big mallet, and he died, and the character never came back.
Yeah.
But in the middle of that, I also saw R.D. Evans versus smooth sailing Ashley Remington, who we all know now is Dalton Castle. So there's something for everybody in Chikara, Greg. God damn you, Greg! Don't talk shit about Chikara. I'll kill you.
Oh man. But conversely, in something a bit more contemporary or recent, I didn't like Lucha Underground because I thought
I couldn't get into it either.
You guys are getting canceled.
For my Cena and Lucha Underground, get him!
Pitchforks out.
For my tastes, the Lucha Underground was too overproduced for me. I don't trust a wrestling show that rolls credits at the end.
I stare at all the WCW pay-per-views.
Yeah,
that was a weird one. I was too young to understand how stupid it was. Executive producer Kay Fabian.
Listen, the one good thing about when WCW did that, though, a lot of times they had banger production music, and that was the only way you could actually listen to the song itself was when the credits rolled.
Funny note, so, as some of you may know,
movie, Greg.
It did. It really did. And also characters died on that show as well. I've mentioned it on this show. I've been on an ECW rewatch kick. I'm getting very close to the stuff that I've never seen before. In fact,
watch it.
At this point now, I'm on 1999, and I've been fortunate now that the redub folder that I have actually has the 99, the year 99 hardcore TV stuff in like almost completion, right? On a mega folder that I can actually download it from. So it comes with a lot of the ads. It doesn't come with every ad, but like the person who put together the editing for it kept every ad that was wrestling based. One of them that amused the heck out of me was an ad for like I think the Royal Rumble or something like that. It was an ad for a WWF pay-per-view. And I'm like, what is it about this promo music? It's familiar to me. It's the fucking Starrcade 97 theme that I thought they came up with.
Oh, really?
It's the fucking Sting Hogan promo music.
Oh, dude, no, like they would constantly reuse theme songs. Like I remember too, like I was like, oh, the Halloween Havoc 97 theme song's a banger. And then all of a sudden Mark Merrow's coming on. I'm like, wait a minute.
So, Greg, I have actually, when Rudo Reels was up and running,
okay.
I have the entire 98 hardcore TV on a
nice.
On Blu-ray. It's like a 3-disc set. And
you had the last year of Shane Douglas on top.
oh god, it was terrible.
Never again.
But you did get to see Francine a lot, so it was okay.
You did do that, yeah.
But you can tell when they start getting that WWE money. Like right around the end of 97, beginning of 98, when they were like taking Flash Funk, Too Cold Scorpio, and they were taking Al Snow and the Job Squad and everything, and like Blue.
And then they give Al Snow back for a little bit.
Yeah. So there is an ad on one of those shows where Paul Heyman is at the beach and he's like walking on with the big cell phone talking on the beach, and there's all these like these explosions in the background and like all this shit going on, and it's to like promote like Barely Legal or something, because there's like all these girls in bikinis, and I was like, that's definitely Vince money. Paul did not do this. This is definitely Paul money. I mean, Vince money. Paul did not spring for this. Paul was like 2 months away from not paying Tommy Dreamer ever again. Fuck you.
And getting his life ended at WrestleMania.
Oh my god!
Imagine if Tommy Dreamer actually went through with that. Holy!
I try not to.
Crazy, and especially too, because think about how that would have probably ruined one of the best WrestleManias of all time.
Oh my god, dude!
Well,
talk about WWE not creating moments. That would have definitely been a moment.
That's a moment, all right.
Yeah, it would have been.
Well, speaking of moments, fellas, we have any last bits to throw out there before we all go to bed? Since it's about almost 3 a.m. over here in the Midwest.
Well, I have one more thing.
Here.
I have one more thing. So the Wyatt Six. Okay.
Yes.
Go for it. Let's talk about it.
So the Wyatt Six, when they had Nikki Cross come out and put the first VHS tape, and then they had Bo Dallas, and they had Uncle Howdy, and Uncle Howdy asked, "How did you feel when your brother died?" And it fucking blew the tits off of the whole internet and everybody. But now, like, they're going into the trope where they're just starting to repeat things. And when the Wyatt Six started doing all of the promos and everything, like when Bray Wyatt came back at Extreme Rules and they were doing the Jefferson Starship song and like the viral thing during like SmackDown commercials and stuff.
Yes,
like that was great. And then when they started doing the stuff for the Wyatt Six, I'm like, okay, it's a little repetitive, but I understand they're preserving Bray Wyatt's memory, which they should do because Bray was a very integral part of WWE. But when they came out, I was like, all right, this is cool. And then the next week when they presented the videotape, I'm like, all right, this is great. Wow, this is a great introduction. And then the past 2 weeks, they just had Nikki Cross come back and put the box on the desk again, twice. And I'm just like, all right, well,
they also scared the hell out of Chad Gable.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I understand.
Chad Gable being afraid of getting shot in the head again.
Yeah, that's great, but like, man, like, it just seems repetitive now. Like, why couldn't they have just done that and then the next week have Bo Dallas in Adam Pearce's locker room or in his office and be like, oh shit. I just feel like they're falling in, same boss, old boss, the new boss, same as the old boss. Like, I feel like they're really diluting the water now with the Wyatt Six. Like, they're saying like, oh, well, okay, well, you debuted. Okay, now you're going to put a box on a desk. Cool. All right, great. Well, what do we got this week? How about we put a box on a desk?
Which itself, when you think about like when they debuted, it was so impactful because we've never seen like the entire backstage area destroyed. People were literally murdered. Chad Gable was shot in the face. We never saw stuff like that. It felt like a true, like you're going through the haunted house. And exactly. It felt like you were going through a haunted house, honestly. And that was really cool how they did that. Yeah. And it's like, there's a lot of pain and suffering and destruction. And it was cool, but at the same time, deep down, I was personally thinking, okay, how do they top this? Where do they go next?
Yeah. Like, so now Sean Ross Sapp came out and said 2 weeks ago that they are not going to have like any special powers or anything. They're going to be based more in like reality. But for the past 3 weeks, we've seen Bo Dallas basically talking to himself on a VHS tape. Like, that's spooky.
And Nikki Cross can teleport.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like, I don't give a shit about WWE. I'm just going to throw that out there. I simply watch it just because I help run this page and I'm on the podcast sometimes, and I feel like I have to watch it to engage you guys in the comments when I can't do things like this, you know, because I genuinely enjoy watching you guys and I enjoy your opinions and I like you as people. So I try to, you know, come in the comments and give you guys, you know, feedback and shit. But for Bray Wyatt's sake, for Wyndham Rotunda's memory, I just don't want them to fall into the same trope that they always fall into of just repetitiveness. And I don't want this thing to get stale, but I logically cannot see a scenario where it doesn't.
Dude, I literally am thinking about like the Vince McMahon trope of he forgot what happened last week, so it's happening again this week, you know?
Dude, it's been 3 weeks in a row of the same like interview, and I understand they're progressing the story as the videotapes come on. They're progressing the story. They're talking about Bo and why he's doing this and why he wanted to take these people and give them a home and set them free and stuff like that. Like, I understand they were going nowhere, and now he's given them a family. Like, that's great. But what happens when the bell rings? You know, like, I mean, with Bray, at least you had just one person. You either had The Fiend or you had Bray Wyatt. When you had the Uncle Howdy come in the ring and we saw what happened with the Pitch Black match, and I love Bray and I love Bray's character, but that felt like the jump the shark moment. When you had Uncle Howdy jump off, you know, the trust that Jeff Hardy jumped off of on top of Randy Orton on Raw, you know, like, and completely missed him and went through the stage, and then fire came up through the stage. It's like, I love the idea, but like, where do you go? How do you maintain this? How do you maintain it? How do you like?
May I share with you what my first immediate red flag for this entire thing was?
Absolutely.
2 days after the very first angle, they had already publicly cleared Chad Gable, and I was just like, so that's what kind of show this is.
Right.
Yeah, like, why even have Chad in that situation in the first place? Like, you could always have them, like, do something else.
Yeah.
You know? Because... And I understand they're saying, like, oh, we're going after people who abandon their families and, like, turn on their families and stuff. And that's why he was trying to get back with, you know, Otis, trying to go in the cafeteria and Otis, like, ignoring him and Maxine being like, oh, we're just not ready yet, you know, because, and now we see in the background, he's going for the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile. So now he's trying to get another family because he thinks that the Wyatt Six won't go after him if he has another family around him. Like, I get it. It's a good story. But you could have got there differently.
Sure.
And what was up with WWE saying, like, oh, well, Chad Gable's not cleared. We're putting Ilya Dragunov in that triple threat match. And then them being like, oh, no, wait a minute. No, Chad. Yeah,
immediately.
We surgically removed the bullet from Chad's head. Yeah, he's cool. You know? Like, I feel like they've already muddied the waters in what was clear blue Bermuda water where you can see the fish at your feet. Now they're just dumping oil into that water, and I feel like and I just feel like it's gonna get fucked up, or it's already not starting to feel special, and I really want it to. It's deep in my heart, for my love of the WWE and my love for Bray, I really want it to work, but I'm going to be so fucking disappointed because I know it's not going to.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny that, like, it seems like they never had any intention for it to appear as serious as it did, but the fact that everyone latched onto the image of Chad Gable as a man who had just had a bullet go through his skull And then the way Hunter kind of laughs off that notion in the interviews after the fact, it's just like, it was not the intent. God damn it.
Oh, look at the Pat McAfee show. Triple H is just like, oh, hopefully your production guy doesn't end up in the corner with a bullet in his head like Chad Gable.
Yeah. Wasn't that stupid?
Yeah, one of my guys was almost murdered. That's where I'll end it because I know you guys are tired and shit. But like, I'm just so like disheartened by the way that it's going so far. Like I said,
understand.
I don't really watch WWE that much anymore. I catch the clips. I get the information that I need to get to look like I'm informed on the page. But
right,
if there's anything that I want to go right in WWE, it's I want the Bloodline Civil War story. I want Roman back, and I want the Wyatt Six thing to go good.
Who do you think is the fourth man on that OG Bloodline team?
So I'm gonna say Sami Zayn. They're gonna get.
I said the same thing.
It has to be.
They're gonna get to it somehow. So it's gonna be Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, probably Tala Tonga versus Roman.
Get it? Because he's tall.
Yeah, I get it. Well, he's probably not going to be in it. They might do it versus Roman, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and who else? If it's 5-on-5, if it's 4-on-4, you got to clear 4-on-4 right there.
So I think it's 4-on-4, and my idea was always that like Jay will begrudgingly go in, but he'll take the guy he trusts to watch his back.
Yeah,
which is Sami.
I have my issues with Jimmy. I have my issues with Roman. If I'm going to help you guys, I need somebody to I'm
feeling pretty oozy here.
Yeah. I thought that was my call. Like Jay would bring in Sammy as sort of an equalizer to that issue. And then you get that.
I'm just trying to keep the peace.
Yeah.
What the tribal chief want.
Yeah, and then like you get the return of that OG Bloodline unit that people kind of fell in love with.
Exactly.
Before I go,
that's the War Games match to me.
I think now. I don't believe a goddamn word Triple H ever says because he's a politicking son of a bitch. But the one thing he did say after the WrestleMania press conference, he did say someone goes, so how do you keep Roman's momentum going after he lost the title tonight to Cody? And he goes, you think you've seen the last of the Roman Reigns storyline? He goes, He goes, you haven't seen anything yet. He goes, we have something coming that is going to blow people's minds. Dude, literally the day that Solo Sikoa took over fucking the Bloodline, we want Roman. I'm like, holy shit, they've turned this guy babyface 24 hours after he lost the fucking title. Holy shit.
The chant they've wanted for well over 10 years.
Right.
Dude. So if he comes back, I would love to see like the big dog in ring style, but with the tribal chief mentality. That is my super shredder of Roman Reigns.
Oh man, I think the Roman Reigns babyface run will obviously be very interesting. It's one of those things where like he was always toward the end, he was always halfway there.
Yeah,
you just had to make him miss him, and that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna milk it to make people miss him until he comes back, and it's a massive fucking deal. Close to something like they did with Rhea Ripley, but for a little longer.
Exactly, the opposite of what they did for CM Punk.
Yes, we bring him back immediately.
Right.
Next time I come on with you guys, because I'm not going to do it to you now, because I can go off on another hour. I am going to fucking go off on this whole CM Punk fucking storyline because it just makes absolutely zero fucking sense.
Which part of it?
I'm not going to go off on it. I'm just going to give you a little mini tangent. Okay. So, Drew CM Punk at before WrestleMania when he got hurt. Okay, so he comes title Damian Priest.
Mac, we are losing your audio.
The rant is too powerful.
Exactly. This is like the pipe bomb getting cut off.
You see this bully campaign?
All right.
Can
you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so just one. So then Punk goes away. McIntyre keeps talking shit. He goes to that triple threat. I think it was Was it Backlash? Yeah, I think it was Backlash, where Punk grabs his leg and costs him a chance to get the title again.
That's France,
Punk has
right?
Punk has cost this guy the title like 4 times. And Drew has never he's only touched Punk once. And that was on SmackDown when he threw him down on his injured arm really fucking hard from his shoulders. But Punk is just like a dick in this whole thing. McIntyre's talking shit, but Punk ruined his chance in his hometown. He blew his shot at WrestleMania. It cost him in the triple threat match. And now he cost him his money in the bank. Okay, yeah, dude was talking shit, but
Drew McIntyre did kind of steal a family heirloom.
Yeah, he stole a family heirloom, but only after Punk cost him his fucking title in his hometown, dude. Shit, man. That's tit for tat, man. Okay, so Drew
In the point of rooting
Punk,
for McIntyre now.
No, but okay, so Drew injured Punk, and then he said, I prayed for this. Because Punk was a dickhead to him back in 2011 when he was the chosen one. So
we've been told.
So Drew was just getting revenge for Punk being a dickhead, okay? So then he cost him the title at WrestleMania. Okay, it's over. You cost me the title. It's over. If Drew talks shit again, dude, I cost you the title. I don't care about you talking shit. But he's cost him the title an additional 3 times. Punk is the bad guy!
I think you also have to latch on to the idea that Drew McIntyre has been a massive hypocrite about this whole thing the entire time.
Exactly. He has been a hypocrite, but that's not punishable by fucking death, dude.
Is it?
I said earlier, I used the analogy earlier. What if Kendrick put out Not Like Us, right?
Sure.
And then Drake responded with that shitty fucking thing, and then fucking Kendrick put out another one, and then Drake was like, okay, I'm done. And then Kendrick just kept piling on and piling on and piling on, and fucking Drake was not responding to anything. It's just.
I think the sadists would be down with it.
I mean, they would,
to a degree.
Yeah.
He's already dead.
But it's dude, he's cost him at WrestleMania. Then he cost him the triple threat the next night. He's cost him the Money in the Bank briefcase and the fucking shot in his hometown. Punk just keeps piling on and piling on. And what does Drew really do? Okay. Oh, he took a fucking 30-cent bracelet that had his fucking stupid, ugly dog and his wife's name on it.
I feel like that means something.
Dude, you took the world heavyweight title from me. You took the top spot in the company and money from me 4 times. Punk is the bad guy in this. Why doesn't anybody see this?
I don't believe he's the bad guy. Then I think it's just 2 guys beefing.
Oh man! Dude,
fucking
McIntyre is Drake. Leave him alone.
He's already dead.
Yeah.
All right, Greg.
Also, I'm reminded of how many times that Drew McIntyre called Damian Priest the World Heavyweight Championship.
I know.
All right.
Well,
fellas, we've hit that 2.5 hour mark, so definitely one of our longer episodes. So
John is gonna love putting this together.
Exactly. So before we hit the full length Titanic length for this, I want Exactly. We're not gonna go that far. I'm gonna make sure that I move over and give you guys enough room on the board. So we're gonna go over some of our lovely sponsors that help make all of this possible. But first, we got to make sure that we have this all ready to go because we're going to start the Dirt Sheet Radio show right now. That nobody laughed at that. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, guys. All right. I like the idea that this is all a practice round, so then we can do the actual show.
This was all shit that wasn't supposed to be on the air. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Now the actual show. All right. Well, my brother Tony runs the Cold Case Project, a channel on YouTube that focuses on all kinds of disappearances, murders, and other cold cases. So if you like true crime content, go check that out. You're into aromatherapy, you're trying to get over your love of vaping, hey, go to monk.com, monq.com. Yep, and make sure you go and use promo code DSR10. You're going to get 10% off your purchase of Monk. You get as many pens as you want. They have a deal right now, I think, where you can get like a whole pack of 10. So go take advantage of that. We got to have Delphin Pod shows available everywhere that you will be finding all types of podcasts, including one of the best ones out there. I heard it's the Major Issues Show. Greg, you got any information about that?
Yes, the information is that our lovely fearless leader John Escudero has been on that show probably for the past few hours as we have been on here, recording an episode, part 2 episode, I believe, to the Grant Morrison new X-Men run in Marvel Comics. An interesting run, not only for what was put on the page, but what went down in the making of said comic book. Grant Morrison is a comic book writer with some interesting opinions, and a guy who just does not give a shit about how do you say other people's continuity.
Continuity? Nah, we don't know her.
It's a worthwhile episode. I know John Escudero did a lot of research into it. It became a much bigger one than he thought it would be. So by all means, give it out. It's a labor of love on his part.
Shout out to John.
Absolutely. Hey, you go see John's profile out there on the Facebook page. Make sure you go give him a follow. We see Nick Rocco on there. Give him a follow. The same thing for our boy Tyler. You might see him as what's his name on there?
The Pro Wrestling Hipster.
The Pro Wrestling Hipster. Thank you, Mac. And make sure you go check out comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio. You can get all kinds of DSR merch. You can go and follow us on there so you can be able to know what's going on in the latest wrestling shows. You can know what's going on in the world of comics. You can know what's going on in the world of pop culture, nerd culture. It's all there. And hey, while you're there, if you want to maintain your internet safety, scroll to the very bottom of comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio and go and subscribe to NordVPN. You get 72% off your first month when you order a whole 12-month subscription. You can't put a price on safety. You know what I mean? It's like you're hiring the APA to go and protect you.
Yeah.
Sure. It's all about protection, boys. You know. Exactly.
Yes. And with NordVPN, the WWE won't sign one of your wrestlers off right under your nose.
You hope. You only hope. Mac, you want to give yourself a shout out there, buddy?
Yeah, you can just follow me on Instagram, Curbside Hero, on Facebook, Mac Burns, Don't Be a Creep. Yeah, you can catch me here sometimes when I'm done with work or when I'm on my 5 weeks vacation. And I don't know, just Curbside Hero on Instagram is where I am the most. I like talking to people. I like hearing other opinions. So yeah, just follow me and or don't. I don't care.
Hell yeah for night shifters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be nice, huh?
Not really. Not on time.
Yeah.
Nick's got to go to work in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, so get ready for that. But speaking of work, myself and all the boys, we're going to be on a bunch of different shows. You can catch Dirt Sheet Radio on every Monday night for the Raw post-show rewind, Tuesday for NXT, Wednesday for, of course, I'm on it, the Dynamite post-show rewind. It's probably one of the best of all of them. And of course, you join us here on the flagship show. There's also going to be the Impact stream every Thursday and
Friday Nick McJohn.
Friday Nick McJohn. I was laughing when I said it. Like, it's the greatest thing ever. And of course, we're going to be the Sunday with CJ and Tyler, whom we all love so much and care about. Level up time. So for myself, for Greg, for Mac, for John, for all of you chat, thank you for joining us. We love you. You're great.